Chapter 42. After hesitating for a moment, Du Xiaofu picked up the young girl and laid her down on the rock. He took off some of her clothes from the back and took out some healing medicine from his bosom to sprinkle on her wounds. These medicines had all come from the white leopard hunting group. As Yao hunters, they would always carry some healing medicine with them. Thus, Du Xiaofu had kept some for emergency use. Who would have thought that he would end up using them on this woman? Originally, he had wanted to take revenge on this woman for robbing him. But who would have thought that this woman would actually faint? This left Du Xiaofu at a loss for what to do. If he didn't do anything about it, it wouldn't be long before she became food for passing monsters. If this thing were to run into adventurers or Yao hunters, it would probably be even worse. Such a beautiful woman. It was easy to imagine what would happen between those big men who often entered the mountain range of savage beasts and hadn't touched a woman for several months. Looking at the skin of the young girl's back that was as white as jade, Du Xiaofu thought to himself as he applied medicine to her wounds. A kind-hearted and upright gentleman like himself was definitely hard to find in this world. Why is there another wound? Just as Du Xiaofu finished treating the wound on the girl's back, he suddenly noticed that there were some bloodstains on the girl's slender thighs. The bloodstains overflowed from the shorts that tightly wrapped around her round buttocks, and the leather shorts that tightly wrapped around her round buttocks were also soaked. It was obvious that the wound was not shallow, and it was on her buttocks. A good person should see this to the end. Du Xiaofu felt that he was very noble. Not only did he not ignore this woman, he even helped her apply medicine to her wounds. After furrowing his brows, he took out a dagger that he had also plundered from the white leopard hunting group. He very enthusiastically cut a palm-sized hole in the leather shorts of her perky buttocks, almost revealing half of her firm skin. It had an indescribable beauty to it, very seductive. For some reason, seeing that seductive curve, Du Xiaofu's heart trembled. There was an indescribable feeling in his heart, but then he saw the 2 finger-sized bloody holes on her perky buttocks. Only then did he come back to his senses and began to gently rub the healing medicine on the bloody holes. However, Du Xiaofu's gaze was still involuntarily sweeping over her smooth, firm, and perky buttocks, especially the beautiful arc formed by her perky buttocks and beautiful legs. Intentionally or unintentionally, he looked at it, and his heart felt like it was about to burst into flames. Finally, after applying the healing medicine, Du Xiaofu put away the medicine bottle. Only then did he realize that the wound was only the size of 2 fingers, but now he had applied the healing medicine all over her firm, and perky buttocks the size of a palm. It's safer this way, it's better for the wound. Du Xiaofu said to himself in his heart. It was naturally better to apply more medicine, and he was also being kind. Looking at the perky buttocks that he had applied the healing medicine all over, Du Xiaofu finally couldn't help but mutter softly, "However, it's very firm and very smooth. Why am I having a nosebleed?" Just as Du Xiaofu's gaze was still lingering on her perky buttocks and slender legs, he wanted to check if there were any wounds on the other half of her buttocks and thighs. Suddenly, he discovered that a stream of blood flowed out from his nostrils, and he had no choice but to give up on the thought in his heart. Finally, Du Xiaofu took out a clean long gown from the small bag on his body and covered the woman's injured buttocks with it. The long gown was also plundered from the people of the confession hunting group. In order to prevent himself from wearing leaves and vines again, Du Xiaofu specially brought a set of clothes, and now he was using it on this woman. After tidying up, Du Xiaofu looked at the young woman in front of him and smiled evilly. He groped the young woman's body once, and then retreated to the side to rest. Early in the morning, there was silence. In the air, a white fog shrouded the dense forest, and it was faintly discernible, drifting in and out of existence, creating a somewhat mysterious atmosphere. "Little thief, what did you do? I'm going to kill you." A sharp and delicate voice echoed in the silent, dense forest. It was unknown when the woman had woken up, but her beautiful face paled as she touched her perky buttocks. Then she pounced towards Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged with his eyes slightly closed, but she seemed to be somewhat powerless. Du Xiaofu seemed to have been prepared, and his body immediately retreated, and at the same time shouted, "Miss, your wounds are exposed." Hearing this, the woman immediately stopped. Only then did she realize that in her excitement her wounds were exposed, and that indescribable part of her body was exposed. Roar! The king-scaled demon tiger suddenly appeared, and after Du Xiaofu jumped on it, the king-scaled demon tiger flapped its wings and flew away. Not to mention that the woman did not have the strength to chase. She simply did not have the time to do so. She wanted to take out a set of clothes from the Qiankuan bag in her arms to change, but found that her Qiankuan bag had disappeared without a trace, and some of her miscellaneous items had also disappeared. "Little thief, don't let me see you again. If I see you again, I swear that I will tear you into pieces." A delicate voice came from the dense forest. This woman really changes her face at will. As expected, she is not cut out to be a maid. The next time I encounter something like this, I must not meddle in other people's business. In the air, Du Xiaofu heard the delicate voice behind him, and his whole body trembled. In his hand was a Qiankuan bag, and with a smile on his face he softly muttered, "Fortunately, I didn't lose out, but the feeling is really not bad." The verdant mountains overlapped, like the undulating waves of the sea, surging violently, majestic and magnificent. "Ao, ao!" The roars of beasts reverberated through the forest, and the thunderous roars of beasts resounded, causing the air to become a lot more tense. In the dense forest, there was a steep mountain, and at this moment, several young boys and girls were clustered together. Most of their faces were pale, and there was panic between their brows. Each and every one of them was tightly holding on to the weapons in their hands, and their eyes were vigilantly looking at the dozen or so lightning, demonic leopards around them. This group of young boys and girls were all around the age of 17 or 19, and the leader was a young girl. She had fair skin and a delicate face. Although she was not old, she had already grown into a slender and elegant woman. The young girl's face was solemn, and her gaze was fixed on the lightning, demonic leopards around them. Although the dozen or so lightning demonic leopards had not reached the innate realm, the leading lightning demonic leopard had definitely stepped into the innate realm, and it would be difficult for the few of them to deal with it. "Zijin, what should we do now? The elder is separated from us, and we can't deal with these lightning demonic leopards at all. There are too many of them." A young boy who was slightly older than the young girl said to the young girl, and his expression was extremely solemn and nervous, "We can only give it a try, and hope that the elder can rush over in time to rescue us." The young girl's delicate face revealed a fierce aura, and she wore a tight skirt which added a bit of charm and mature temperament to her and outlined her exquisite and curvy figure, which was extremely attractive. Looking at the leading lightning demonic leopard, she said, "Leave the leading lightning demonic leopard to me, and you guys deal with the rest." "Ao, ao!" Just as the young girl's voice fell, the dozen or so lightning demonic leopards once again launched an attack. The reason why lightning demonic leopards were called lightning demonic leopards was because their speed was as fast as lightning. "Fight!" Several young boys rushed out together and immediately brandished their weapons to fight with the lightning demonic leopards. However, their cultivation did not seem to have reached the innate realm, and it was very difficult for them to face the attacks of the lightning demonic leopards. The young girl waved her hand, and a long whip with countless hooks swept out. Profound chi surged, and the long whip was like lightning, piercing through the barrier of the air, and directly swept towards the leading lightning demonic leopard. "Ao!" The lightning demonic leopard's speed was faster than the young girl's, and a bloody and violent aura burst out from its body. It dodged the young girl's whip, and with a ferocious look in its eyes, it pounced towards the young girl, and its hook-like claws suddenly appeared in front of the young girl. In a flash, the young girl also exploded with a shocking, explosive power. The tip of her foot touched the ground, and the aura of the early innate realm swept out. The long whip in her hand was like a snake, and it quickly wrapped around the lightning, demonic leopard. The lightning, demonic leopard's eyes were ferocious, and the light around its body surged. Its body, which was the size of a small elephant, once again dodged the young girl's whip. The long whip was like lightning, and it heavily landed on a rock, causing the rock to shatter into pieces, and gravel shot out. The young girl's delicate body was still retreating, and the long whip in her hand took advantage of the momentum to spin, and like a dragon soaring into the sky, it violently swept out. She had attacked several times in a flash, and it was enough to show that the young girl was not ordinary. Ayo! The lightning demonic leopard roared, and it was a little angry after being blocked several times. Its sharp claws actually directly grabbed the long whip, and it actually tightly grasped the long whip under the leopard's claws. The sharp barbs could smash rocks, but at this time it was actually unable to hurt the lightning demonic leopard. Instead, it was directly grabbed by the lightning demonic leopard. Dang dang! A huge force attacked. The young girl did not seem to have expected the lightning demonic leopard's strength to be so great. With a mistake, her delicate body was directly pulled forward, and her delicate face turned pale. She had no choice but to immediately let go of the long whip in her hand. Ayo! The lightning demonic leopard seized the opportunity, opened its ferocious mouth, and pounced towards the young girl like lightning. Its lightning-like speed, coupled with its ferocious aura, arrived in front of the young girl in an instant, and its bloody mouth was filled with the smell of blood. The young girl was, after all, a woman. Although she had the cultivation of the innate realm, and was definitely one of the top existences among her peers, but under such an unforeseen event, her beautiful face turned pale, and her delicate body's speed was greatly affected. Bang! A young man appeared in front of the young girl like lightning. Profound chi surged, and he directly punched towards the lightning demonic leopard's jaw. A low, muffled sound rang out, and the lightning demonic leopard that was pouncing towards the young girl was directly sent flying onto a huge rock, and the rock was shattered into dust. Ayo! The lightning demonic leopard let out a mournful roar, and a large amount of beast blood spurted out from its mouth from the punch. Just as it was about to flip over and struggle to get up, the young man once again appeared in front of it, and with an unbelievable speed, his fist fiercely smashed into the lightning demonic leopard's forehead. Chapter 43. Bang! The lightning leopard's head exploded, and red and white matter gushed out. Its body immediately withered. Roar! A tiger's roar came from the dense forest not far away. The tiger's roar was so loud that it made countless ferocious beasts in the surrounding mountains go into hibernation. Ferocious birds spread their wings and soared into the air. Roar! After their leader was killed, the lightning leopards heard the tiger's roar and trembled in fear. They didn't dare to stay in the slightest. After killing the lightning leopard, the young man didn't even turn his head. He carried the lightning leopard's body on his shoulder and left. He didn't pay any attention to the girl and the other young men. Who is that? I think I've seen him somewhere before. Looking at the young man who was carrying the corpse of the lightning demon leopard, a few pale-faced youths were shocked and puzzled. The young man's age was about the same as theirs, and he was even younger than them. However, his strength was so terrifying that he could kill a Sciention realm lightning demon leopard with just 2 punches. It's him. The girl was surprised. The one who had killed the lightning leopard was actually Du Xiaofu, the rumored idiot of the young master of the Du family. However, judging from Du Xiaofu's actions, how could he be an idiot? Zijin, that guy looks familiar. A young man who was slightly older than the girl came forward and looked at the back of the young man who was leaving. He was shocked. Du Xiaofu from the Du family. We met him in the Du family. The girl called Zijin said to the young man, Du Xiaofu? Isn't that the idiot of the Du family? Why is he alone in the mountain range of savage beasts? Hearing this, the young man was surprised. The name Du Xiaofu was extremely famous in Stone City. The girl looked at the back of the young man in the distance and said, "If he's really an idiot, then we can't even be considered as idiots." "Second master, we've been out for so long. Even though we've gained something, we haven't gained much. I heard that someone saw the purple flame, demonic phoenix attack. Someone even picked up a feather from the purple flame, demonic phoenix. Could it be that something happened to the purple flame, demonic phoenix?" Within the continuous dense forest, over 30 figures were shuttling through the forest. All of them were vigilantly observing their surroundings. A young man of 25 or 26 years of age was speaking to a sturdy middle-aged man who was leading the group. "Even if something happens to an existence like the purple flame demonic phoenix, we won't be able to get involved. Be careful. Opportunities are precious, but our lives are more important. We've gained quite a lot this time. This trip was worth it." The burly man raised his head from time to look around. Suddenly, his expression changed as he stared ahead and said, "Be careful, someone is coming." Everyone's eyes were on alert. A figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It was a young man carrying a huge demonic beast. His figure was tall and straight, and behind him was a wild cat. He was standing in front of everyone, sizing them up. "Little tiger, without my orders, don't reveal your identity. Restrain your chi," Du Xiaofu said to the king's scaled demonic tiger behind him. He was carrying the lightning leopard's corpse on his shoulder. "Second master, that person looks familiar." Many people were slightly surprised. That young man's silhouette looked extremely familiar from afar. "Xiaofu, that's Xiaofu." The burly man was staring ahead. Suddenly, a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. He immediately started running. The burly man was the second son of the Du clan Du Jixiong. Because the mountain range of savage beasts had not been peaceful for a while, he had personally led a group of people into the mountain range of savage beasts. He didn't expect that he would run into Du Xiaofu, who he had been looking for all this time. "Xiaofu, Du Xiaofu, didn't he go missing? Why is he in the savage beast mountain range?" The crowd looked at each other in dismay when they heard Du Xiaofu's words. Du Jixiong quickly ran to Du Xiaofu's side. He looked at Du Xiaofu in front of him with a smile on his face. It was as if a huge stone had been lifted from his heart. He said, "Xiaofu, is it really you? Everyone has been looking for you. Your uncle has been worried about you every day. It's good that you are fine." Second uncle. Looking at the burly man in front of him, Du Xiaofu's heart was filled with warmth. He smiled and didn't know what to say. It had been 10 years since he had last talked to his second uncle. However, in his heart, he knew that his second uncle had always cared about him. His second uncle had never despised him for being a fool. His second uncle only felt pity and heartache. How ferocious! This is a Xiantian-level demonic lightning leopard. A group of people from the Du family gathered around. When they saw Du Xiaofu carrying the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard, they were all shocked. "Silly boy, what are you laughing at? It's good that you are fine. Quickly put down the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard," Du Jixiong said to Du Xiaofu. Immediately after, he looked at the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard and revealed a puzzled expression. "Come, help me carry it." A few people from the Du family immediately stepped forward and helped to put down the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard from Du Xiaofu's shoulders. "Quick, be careful of the blood of the demonic lightning leopard. Quickly collect it. When the time comes, we can refine the blood essence and use it to forge the body of the younger generation. It is extremely good. Be careful of the claws of the demonic lightning leopard. They are extremely valuable." "Xiaofu, did you kill this demonic lightning leopard?" The people from the Du family gathered around and started to deal with the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard. There were also people who looked at Du Xiaofu with a shocked expression. If Du Xiaofu was the one who killed the Xiantian-level demonic lightning leopard, then how powerful would Du Xiaofu be now? As for the people from the Du family present, naturally, no one would think that Du Xiaofu was still the foolish young master of the Du family. During the competition between the younger generation of the Du family, Du Hao, Du Chong, and the other two couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. Who would believe that Du Xiaofu was still the foolish young master of the Du family? Looking at the people from the Du family, who were all talking at once, Du Xiaofu's heart was once again filled with warmth. All these years in the Du family, everyone had treated him as invisible. However, at least there were still some people who had always treated him as a part of the Du family. For example, this group of people who were truly fighting for the Du family. I didn't kill it. I was just passing by and didn't know who killed the demonic lightning leopard. I thought that the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard was worth a lot, so I planned to carry it back. Who knows? I might be able to buy some cultivation coins. Du Xiaofu smiled and replied to the crowd. In fact, he had originally planned to roast the demonic lightning leopard. Cultivating the cultivation method of the golden winged rock allowed one to extract energy from the flesh of demonic beasts for one's own use. Although the energy contained within the bloody flesh was the densest and purest, Du Xiaofu didn't dare to eat it raw. He could only eat the cooked flesh of demonic beasts to extract the energy for his own use. However, he didn't expect to meet his second uncle and the people from the Du family here. How can there be such luck? The corpse of the demonic lightning leopard is worth a lot. After conversion, it's worth at least 1,000 gold coins. If we can capture one alive, then it would be even more valuable. Hearing that the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard was picked up, no one doubted Du Xiaofu. Killing a demonic lightning leopard at the Xiantian realm required a lot of strength. Among the people here, other than the second master, the others would probably need to work together to do it. Du Xiaofu smiled as he looked at the group of people from the Du family handling the corpse of the demonic lightning leopard. They were extremely familiar with the process, not to mention that he was the one who killed the demonic lightning leopard. Du Xiaofu didn't want to explain too much. He then raised his head and asked Du Zhixiong, "Second uncle, how is my father?" "Your father is still the same." A bitter smile appeared on Du Zhixiong's face. He patted Du Xiaofu's shoulder and said, "Let's go back early. Your father should be worried about you." A few days later, at dusk, when the sunset faded, the sky and earth turned into a silvery gray color. Outside the stone city, the savage Beast Mountain range was shrouded in a golden silence. In the distance, the mountains were covered in the sunset glow, and the sky was filled with bright red clouds. Outside the gate of the Du family, a group of 10 people came back. This time their harvest was not light. They brought back a lot of spiritual herbs and demonic beasts' blood essence for the younger generation of the Du family. It was enough to nurture the younger generation of the Du family for a period of time. The second master is back. Isn't that Du Xiaofu? Why did he come back with the second master? Why did Du Xiaofu bring back a wild cat? Outside the gate of the Du family, many Du family disciples had already rushed out to welcome them. Looking at the harvest that the second master of the Du family had brought back, their eyes were filled with joy. And seeing Du Xiaofu in the crowd, it also attracted many complicated gazes. Ignoring the various complicated gazes, Du Xiaofu directly returned to the courtyard where he lived. When Du Xiaofu stepped into the courtyard, his drunkard father was drinking. Sitting in the courtyard, holding the wine jug and drinking directly. There was no food to go with the wine. He quietly drank alone. Goo goo. This was the unique sound of his drunkard father drinking. Other people drank mouthful by mouthful, but Du Xiaofu knew that his drunkard father drank in big mouthfuls. Seeing Du Xiaofu come back, he only raised his head, put down the wine jug, and said, "You're back." "I'm back," Du Xiaofu said, then added, "Drink less wine. I'll go get you some food to go with the wine." "Okay, accompany me to drink a few mouthfuls later," he said calmly. Du Xiaofu was slightly surprised, then nodded and left the courtyard. Usually he would accompany his drunkard father to drink, but it was always on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month every year. When he was young, Du Xiaofu did not know what the 15th day of the 8th lunar month was. Later on, he found out that the 15th day of the 8th lunar month was the day when the family reunited, called the Mid-Autumn Festival. Every year on this day, His drunkard father would drag him to drink a few mouthfuls of wine. When Du Xiaofu left, Du Tingxuan's eyes, which were emitting the smell of alcohol, glanced at the king-scaled demon tiger that Du Xiaofu brought back. For some reason, that gaze made the king-scaled demon tiger tremble for no reason, and its shrunken body involuntarily took a few steps back. Chapter 44. By the time Du Xiaofu brought a few dishes from the kitchen, night had already fallen. The bright moon hung high in the sky, and the moonlight was like a net. Even though it wasn't the 15th of August, the moonlight was still very bright today. The father and son sat down, looking at each other in silence. Du Tingxian reeked of alcohol. He raised his head and drank a mouthful of wine. Then he passed the wine flask to Du Xiaofu and asked, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine. I just went to the savage Beast Mountain range to take a look." Du Xiaofu knew that his drunkard father was asking about his disappearance. What he told his second uncle was that he had secretly entered the savage Beast Mountain range to train himself. He didn't tell his second uncle about the beautiful woman in plain clothes, in case he implicated Bai. Du Xiaofu also didn't tell his second uncle about the golden-winged rock and the purple-flame demonic phoenix, in case he caused trouble for himself. If that happened, he wouldn't know how to explain it. Du Xiaofu took the wine flask and drank a mouthful. Then he passed it back to his drunkard father. Since he was young, he had accompanied his drunkard father to drink. He even secretly drank when he was young, so his alcohol tolerance was actually quite good. "Oh," Du Tingxian only said one sentence softly. Then he took the wine flask and drank another mouthful. After that, he didn't say anything else. Du Xiaofu had long been used to the way the father and son interacted. Then the father and son took turns to drink. Tonight, they seemed to have drunk more than usual, until Du Xiaofu felt a little dizzy. He lay down in the courtyard and fell asleep. In the morning, when Du Xiaofu woke up and rubbed his sleepy eyes, he realized that his surroundings were pitch black. "Am I in the ancestral halls stone coffin again?" Du Xiaofu got up and pushed open the stone lid of the stone coffin. He was indeed in the ancestral hall's stone coffin again. His entire body was drenched in sweat, and there were some impurities on it. His body felt as if it had been cleansed again. "Young Master Xiaofu, the head of the family wants to see you in the study." When he came out of the ancestral hall and returned to the courtyard, his drunkard father was no longer in the courtyard. After taking a bath and changing into his favorite purple robe, Du Xiaofu met the front supervisor who had come at some point in time. Everyone in the Du family called him Uncle Lin. He was an old man in his 60s. He was a person who was highly regarded by his eldest uncle and had a high status in the Du, and said that his eldest uncle wanted to see him. Du Xiaofu nodded. Yesterday, second uncle had mentioned that eldest uncle wanted to see him. Who would have thought that eldest uncle would send someone to look for him so early in the morning? Then he thought of something. Looking at the old man in front of him, he asked, "Uncle Lin, how is Du Hai's ability?" The old man was surprised at first, then smiled and said, "If young Master Xiaofu hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten. Du Hai is the supervisor of the backyard, but recently his ability has been getting worse and worse. I was just about to punish him. Uncle Lin, you are someone who is highly regarded by first uncle, and also someone who is highly regarded by the Du clan. The Du clan will have to trouble you to take care of them. As for those unqualified members of the Du clan, they must not be tolerated." Finished speaking, Du Xiaofu smiled and left. Looking at Du Xiaofu's back, a slight smile appeared on the old man's face. He said, "It seems like this young master is going to use his blade." Who said that this young master is stupid? How can the child of the third master be stupid? It's time for some of the servants of the Du family to be moved. Du Xiaofu went to the study. It was his eldest uncle's study. Du Xiaofu knew that his eldest uncle did not ask him to go to the main hall, but to the study. Because his eldest uncle had never looked down on him, there were not many people who could enter his eldest uncle's study. Even the children of the Du family were not many. "Xiaofu, Let your eldest uncle take a look. When Du Xiaofu pushed open the half-closed door of the study, a big man in his 40s raised his head and happily welcomed him. Eldest uncle. Du Xiaofu bowed. The big man in front of him was his eldest uncle, Du Jinwu, a famous figure in the entire Stone City. I heard about what happened to you. It's good that you are fine. Next time, don't go to the savage Beast Mountain Range alone. Du Jinwu patted Du Xiaofu's shoulder and pulled him into the study. His face was tense, but his eyes were filled with kindness. Then he said, I heard that you can already cultivate. Is that true? Yes, I can cultivate. Du Xiaofu nodded. There was nothing to hide. After all, everyone in the Du family knew about it. It's good that you have recovered. It's good that you have recovered. God bless my Du family. God pity my nephew, Xiaofu. Du Jinwu was very excited as he looked at Du Xiaofu with a happy smile. After a long time, his expression became a little more serious as he said to Du Xiaofu, in a month it will be the Stone City's 5 Great Families competition for the younger generation that is held once every 3 years. If you can become the champion, in addition to the great benefits that the winner will receive, even the entire family will receive a lot of benefits. Prepare well, the Du family will need you at that time. Yes. Du Xiaofu nodded. He had heard about the triennial gathering of the 5 major families before. After chatting with his first uncle for a while, Du Xiaofu bid farewell and left. As for the questions that his first uncle asked, he naturally answered them perfunctorily. He had always said that he wanted to temper himself in the savage Beast Mountain Range, which was why he went in. After watching Du Xiaofu leave, Du Jinwu looked outside the study. The joy on his face gradually disappeared and was replaced with a trace of seriousness. He said, I hope that there won't be any unforeseen events in the triennial gathering of the 5 major families, behind the martial scripture tower in the spacious courtyard. Fu Yibai squatted on the ground and looked at the ants crawling on the ground. He looked very serious, but he didn't dare to raise his head. Du Xiaofu stood behind Fu Yibai and then turned in front of him. Although he told his second uncle and first uncle that he took the initiative to enter the savage Beast Mountain Range and didn't want to implicate Fu Yibai, it didn't mean that it didn't happen. At the very least, he had to ask Fu Yibai what was going on. Fu Yibai turned his back to Du Xiaofu and continued to look at the ants in front of him. Du Xiaofu was infuriated. He squatted in front of Fu Yibai and said, Old Bai, you have to give me an explanation, right? What explanation? Fu Yibai looked at Du Xiaofu with a blank expression. His eyes looked very innocent. Don't play dumb with me. What's the matter with that beautiful woman? Do you know that I was almost killed by you this time? The more Du Xiaofu spoke, the angrier and more agitated he became. He had been completely implicated by this old fellow. He had narrowly escaped death and almost died. Who would have thought that this old fellow would actually refuse to admit it now? Fu Yibai looked at Du Xiaofu and ignored Du Xiaofu's agitated expression. He said, Then are you dead now? Du Xiaofu was stunned and gritted his teeth. No. Then are you missing an arm or a leg? Fu Yibai continued to ask. Du Xiaofu continued to grit his teeth and replied, No. Then that's it. Fu Yibai looked at Du Xiaofu with disdain and said, She might look cold, but in fact, she wouldn't randomly kill people. You, on the other hand, missed a great opportunity. How many people in this world want to be her disciple? If you find a chance to pester her, she might take you in as a disciple. When that happens, your name will shake the world. It's much better than staying in this small Du clan. I truly feel pity for you. Du Xiaofu was stunned. After hearing Fu Yibai's words, it seemed like he owed Fu Yibai a great favor. Fu Yibai stopped right there. Just as Du Xiaofu was stunned, Fu Yibai had already disappeared from his original spot. A moment later, at the back of the Du clan's mountain, smoke was rising. Du Xiaofu and Fu Yibai were eating the barbecued meat and wolfing it down. However, no matter how Du Xiaofu asked Fu Yibai about the relationship between the plain-clothed woman and her identity, Fu Yibai didn't answer. In the end, Du Xiaofu had many questions in his heart, but he could only keep them to himself. Take good care of the things on your body, and don't throw them away. Whether you can comprehend them yourself will depend on your own abilities. After eating his fill, Du Xiaofu was burping when Fu Yibai suddenly said something baffling to Du Xiaofu. He then said, "I'm full. I'm going back to take an afternoon nap." Du Xiaofu was stunned again. When he regained his senses, Fu Yibai's figure had already disappeared. "Du Xiaofu, you are finally back." In the afternoon, Du Xiaofu planned to return from the back of the mountain. Just as he reached the backyard's entrance, he was blocked by a group of people. Du Xiaofu raised his head and saw familiar faces. The grandson of the great elder, Du Hao, was among them. There were also Du Chong and Du Yan. The rest were also Du clan's disciples. Looking at these people, Du Xiaofu's eyes slightly moved before revealing a smile. "Are you guys here to deliver elixirs and mystic coins? It seems like you guys haven't forgotten that you still owe me 10 years of elixirs and mystic coins. Oh, you my ass. Quickly return our foundation building elixirs and the explosive stone fiend Wolf's Essence blood. Otherwise, we won't be polite." Du Hao was furious. A treasure like the explosive stone fiend Wolf's Essence blood was actually snatched away. How could he swallow the resentment in his heart? Back then, his father went to find the patriarch, but encountered Du Xiaofu's bizarre disappearance. In the end, he could only leave the matter unsettled. When they heard that Du Xiaofu had returned yesterday evening, they gathered all the people who suffered losses with them to settle the score with Du Xiaofu. They didn't expect to meet him in the backyard. Du Xiaofu, quickly hand over the foundation building elixirs and the explosive stone fiend Wolf's Essence blood. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Du Chong and Du Yan also loudly shouted. For more than a month, they simply didn't have the face to see anyone. All 3 of their prizes were snatched away by Du Xiaofu alone. Now, the uncles of the Du clan clearly looked at them differently. They didn't even dare to go out. The news that the 3 of them couldn't even take a single move from Du Xiaofu had already spread to all the major clans. The Tong clan, Chen clan, Qin clan by clan, and other clans. When they saw them, they couldn't help but make fun of them. Now the whole city knew about it. Brothers who haven't collected this book yet, click on the Add to Bookshelf button below the cover of this book. Chapter 45. Hand over the blood essence of the violent stone demon wolf and the foundation establishment pill, or else I'll teach you a lesson. The surrounding youths and girls were also glaring angrily at Du Xiaofu. They were also victims at that time. "You're Du Xiaofu, that idiot?" A young man who looked to be in his early 20s walked forward. He was dressed in silver armor. His slender figure and good looks made him look even more handsome and heroic under the contrast of the silver armor. A few young girls clustered around him, intentionally or unintentionally, with infatuated looks in their eyes. Du Xiaofu had already noticed this young man long ago. Hearing his words, his expression immediately turned ugly. He said to the armored young man, "You're the idiot. Your whole family are idiots. You're indeed a little arrogant, daring to insult an imperial knight. Just this alone is enough to send you to the imperial prison for the rest of your life." The young man's expression immediately darkened. As an imperial knight, everyone in this small border city had to give him some face. He didn't expect that someone would dare to insult him today. If he didn't teach this Du Xiaofu a lesson, he wouldn't be able to back down in front of the infatuated girls around him. Du Xiaofu didn't even pay attention to the young man. He glanced at Du Hao and the others and said, "Is this what you're relying on? I'll give you one last chance. Will you voluntarily hand over the debt you owe me, or should I take it myself?" Du Xiaofu, don't be so arrogant. My cousin is an imperial knight, you're dead meat. Du Hao clenched his teeth and sneered at Du Xiaofu. He then raised his head to look at the armored young man and said, "Cousin, we can't let this Du Xiaofu go. We have to take back the blood essence of the violent stone demon wolf and the foundation establishment pill." No problem, this idiot is looking for trouble. The young man's expression darkened. As soon as he finished speaking, the profound energy in his body surged. A powerful aura burst out, forcing Du Hao, Du Chong, Du Yen, and the others to retreat. The energy in his body surged, as if it had gathered into a small tornado. Initial breakthrough to the Xiantian realm. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows slightly. This Imperial Knight youth was indeed quite talented. It was already quite extraordinary for him to be able to step into the Xiantian realm at such a young age. Today, I'll teach you a good lesson, you fool. The armored youth didn't intend to hold back. He took a step forward and condensed a hand seal. Green qi condensed on the palm seal, as if there was a layer of green energy crystal on the palm seal. Accompanied by a powerful aura, it enveloped Du Xiaofu. From Du Hao and the others, he knew that Du Xiaofu had defeated Du Hao and the others in one move. Therefore, although he had reached the Xiantian stage, he didn't go all out, but he didn't hold back either. The palm print moved and arrived in front of Du Xiaofu in a flash. In a split second, a faint golden light flickered in everyone's eyes. Before the surrounding crowd could clearly see what the faint golden light was, a muffled sound was suddenly emitted. Bang! Along with the muffled sound, strong winds swept out from the surroundings, causing rocks to shoot into the sky. Subsequently, a figure was directly blasted flying before heavily falling to the ground. Bang! In an instant, the ground began to crack, and the entire ground began to shake. At this moment, the figure slowly came to a stop. Everyone looked over and instantly inhaled a breath of cold air. It turned out that the figure that was blasted flying was actually the armored youth, a Xiantian realm cultivator, an existence that everyone envied and looked up to, had actually been trampled on with a single move. The armored youth fell to the ground and spat out a large mouthful of blood. His handsome face was ghastly pale while astonishment surged out from his eyes. Bang! 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 Everyone hadn't recovered from their shock when a low, muffled sound of energy resounded once more. After that, numerous figures were incessantly blasted away by the chain reaction. After that, without any surprise, all of them fell to the ground and were unable to move. Du Xiaofu's purple robe's long sleeve shook as he looked at the ground with a satisfied smile. After that, he unceremoniously took away all the medicinal pills, profound coins, and some valuable trinkets on their bodies. Even the armored youth was not spared. There were quite a few items on the bodies of a dozen people. In the end, Du Xiaofu directly took off the robe on Du Hao's body and wrapped it into a small bundle before taking everything away. During this process, no one dared to resist, nor did they have the strength to resist. You're welcome to continue finding trouble with me in the future. After taking care of everything, Du Xiaofu threw down a sentence before swaggering off. Gazing at Du Xiaofu's departing figure, the surroundings were completely silent. At night, the curtain of night covered the stone city. The moonlight was like a stream as the stars twinkled in the sky. In a simple and unadorned stone pavilion, a young lady stood quietly. She had fair skin, an exquisite face, long hair that poured down, a long skirt that covered her body, and a pair of bright eyes that flickered with a bright light under the moonlight, causing her elegant temperament to have an additional chilly temperament. Zijin, have you really made up your mind? A thin, middle-aged man looked at the young lady and said, You must know that this decision is not only related to our Yi family, but also the entire stone city. The young lady raised her head, her vermilion lips gently parted as she said, I believe that within this generation of the 5 great families, no one can compare to Du Xiaofu. Even I cannot. The thin, middle-aged man's face was slightly surprised as he said, I never thought that this girl would actually have such an evaluation of Du Xiaofu from the Du family. I also want to meet him. How about this? Accompany me to the Du family tomorrow to express our gratitude. At the same time, there are some matters that need to be decided. The young lady faintly smiled as she nodded her head. She could not help but recall the back figure that carried the lightning demonic leopard's corpse. It was so tall and straight. How exactly do I open this thing? In the room at night, Du Xiaofu held 2 Qinquan bags in his hands. One was looted from the body of the white leopard hunting group's leader, Shou Hu, while the other was looted from the body of the tight-fitting girl. However, even though he had the Qinquan bag, Du Xiaofu could not open it at all. Kid, you can't open the Qinquan bag. How about I open it for you? Zhen Qingquan's voice sounded from the small pagoda in Du Xiaofu's bosom. For some reason, his voice sounded somewhat sullen. You know how to open the Qinquan bag. Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment before taking out the small pagoda in his bosom. Of course, the small pagoda was currently wrapped in several layers of leaves. Du Xiaofu did not want to directly put the small pagoda that had been soaked in child's urine into his bosom. What a joke! I am a spirit talisman master, a very high-level one. A small Qinquan bag is naturally not a problem for me. Zhen Qingquan's sullen voice from the small pagoda finally revealed a bit of pride. You are a spirit talisman master? Du Xiaofu looked at the small pagoda suspiciously, then said, All right, help me open the Qinquan bag and give it a try. Humph, what's in it for me to help you open the Qinquan bag? Zhen Qingquan said from the small pagoda. His tone was somewhat complacent. This kid finally had a favor to ask of him. If you help me open the Qinquan bag, I will no longer use the child's urine to suppress evil. If you can't open the Qinquan bag, I will directly throw this broken pagoda into the latrine. Du Xiaofu said indifferently. Kid, you dare. Zhen Qingquan's voice suddenly screamed from the small pagoda. Guess if I dare or not. Du Xiaofu replied. Kid, you win. I will help you open the Qinquan bag. But let's make a deal. When I come out, you are not allowed to do anything to my primordial spirit. Zhen Qingquan compromised. He knew that this kid would definitely do it. Deal. Du Xiaofu nodded in agreement. Qi, Zhen Qingquan's illusory figure floated out from the small pagoda. He looked at Du Xiaofu, his wretched eyes containing anger and sullenness. The corner of his mouth twitched as he suppressed his anger and said, If you forcibly open the Qinquan bag, the things inside will be directly destroyed. Apart from the person who created it, the only way to open it is to find a spirit talisman master who is more powerful than the one who created this Qinquan bag to decipher the runes. As his voice faded, Zhen Qingquan's illusory hand seals condensed. Then, the 2 Qinquan bags in Du Xiaofu's left hand were wrapped by a strange force and floated into Zhen Qingquan's hands. Walala! As Zhen Qingquan's illusory hand seals changed, waves of mysterious runes suddenly spread out. The room shone brightly, and waves of mysterious power rippled in the room. Under the envelopment of the mysterious runes, Zhen Qingquan's wretched appearance suddenly became imposing. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was somewhat convinced that Zhen Qingquan was not a swindler. It was indeed difficult for a swindler to create such a grand display and imposing manner. Open it. Drip your blood on these 2 trash Qinquan bags to bind them to you. Then inject your profound qi. From now on, these 2 Qinquan bags are yours. A moment later, Zhen Qingquan threw the 2 Qinquan bags in front of Du Xiaofu. His illusory figure became even more illusory. Chapter 46. According to Zhen Qingquan, Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment. He had also heard that some spiritual weapons and Qinquan bags required blood to recognize their owners. Therefore, he did not hesitate and bit his index finger to drip blood on the 2 Qinquan bags. After that, he injected his celestial qi into the Qinquan bags. Immediately, the Qinquan bags opened, and a large pile of items was rummaged out by Du Xiaofu. These are Xiantian-level demon beast materials. These are Xiantian-level demon beast blood essences. There are indeed elixirs and martial arts techniques. There are also quite a lot of celestial coins. The items in that woman's Qinquan bag are much lesser, but the quality is much higher. This martial arts technique seems to be at least at the animal grade level. A pile of valuable items was placed in front of Du Xiaofu, causing a satisfied smile to appear on Du Xiaofu's face. In the Qinkuan bag of the White Leopard Hunting Group's leader, Shouhu, there were many demon beast materials and blood essences. There were also many elixirs and a set of Xiantian martial arts technique. It could be said that most of the wealth of the entire White Leopard Hunting Group was in this Qinkuan bag. There weren't many things in the Qinkuan pouch of the tight-fitting young girl, but there were a few sets of women's clothes and even a lot of common rouge and powder. What surprised Du Xiaofu was that there were a few pills of decent quality, and there were quite a few profound coins as well. There was also a martial arts technique that was at least at the animal grade level. The value of a martial arts technique at the animal grade level was already a terrifying figure, not to mention that there were many elixirs in it. The total value was probably much higher than the Qinkuan bag on Shouhu's body. Looking at the satisfied smile on Du Xiaofu's face, Jin Qingchen could not help but sigh in disdain. How can a pile of trash be so happy? You really haven't seen the world. Take out something good if you have the ability. Du Xiaofu raised his head and glanced at Jin Qingchen. Then he happily organized the pile of valuable items and kept them in his Qinkuan bag. You, Zhen Qingchen choked on Du Xiaofu's words. Then he suppressed the grievance in his heart and said to Du Xiaofu, "Kid, I have already proven that I am a talisman master. I am definitely not a swindler. How about we make a deal?" Du Xiaofu raised his head, looked at Jin Qingchen, and asked, "You might be a talisman master. Do you need my Xian Qi for the deal you want to make with me? If that is the case, I advise you to never have any ideas about it. Whoever dares to touch my profound energy, I will fight with my life on the line." Ugh! Zhen Qingchen was speechless again. He felt that he and the kid in front of him were not on the same frequency. He took a deep breath, squeezed out a smile on his wretched face, and said, "Kid, don't be afraid. I don't want all of your Xian Qi. I just want to absorb a little bit each time. This will not have any effect on you. Wait until my soul is a little stronger. Then I will be able to leave this small pagoda and find a way to recover on my own." Du Xiaofu raised his head and rolled his eyes. He sneered and did not say anything. He continued to organize his valuable items and thought about how to exchange them for Xian coins. "Kid, do you want to become strong? I can make you strong and become a powerhouse whose name can shake the world." Zhen Qingchen was unyielding and continued to tempt him. He felt that no one could resist temptation. How could this little brat resist temptation? Every human had a weakness, and every human would always be tempted. He said, "Do you want money, beautiful women, status, and power? If you had this ability, how could you be like this now? Do you think I would believe you?" Du Xiaofu finally finished packing up the 2 Qinkuan bags. He stood up and looked at Zhen Qingchen, who was unyielding and unyielding. This Zhen Qingchen was almost choked to death by this sentence. His face was flushed red. He wanted to go crazy. He wanted to fiercely teach this kid who did not know what was good for him a lesson. However, in his current state, he simply could not do it. "Kid, do you want to become a talisman master?" After being sullen, Zhen Qingchen once again threw out a tempting topic to Du Xiaofu. He was sure that no matter who it was, they would be moved by this sentence. A talisman master was a profession that would absolutely make people burn with passion. Do you want to be suppressed by a virgin's urine again? However, the result was once again beyond Zhen Qingchuan's expectations. Du Xiaofu did not have much reaction to the words talisman master. He directly glared at Zhen Qingchen. It was not that Du Xiaofu did not know the status of a talisman master on this continent. On the contrary, Du Xiaofu also wanted to become a talisman master. It was rumored that those terrifying talisman masters were even more terrifying than the strong warriors. However, after discovering that Du Xiaofu had a waste martial vein, the Du family had asked someone to investigate his constitution. The result was that besides the waste martial vein, He had no potential to become a talisman master. Therefore, when he heard Zhen Qingchen ask him whether he wanted to become a talisman master, Du Xiaofu did not have any thoughts at all. Since he could not become a talisman master, and now he was practicing the cultivation method of the golden winged rock, why would he want to become a talisman master? Boy, you really don't want to become a talisman master. Zhen Qingchen was sullen again. He did not expect that this boy did not even care about becoming a talisman master. This was absolutely abnormal. This boy was definitely stupid. I have already checked. I have no potential to become a talisman master. You'd better save your saliva. Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Zhen Qingchen. He made up his mind that no matter what Zhen Qingchen said, he would not be swayed. Zhen Qingchuan's goal could not be his Xianqi. Who said that you can't become a talisman master? That bastard said so. Zhen Qingchen loudly scolded, appearing extremely excited. He said, "The person who helped you check must be a bastard." Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly lit up. He looked at Zhen Qingchen and said, "So, I have the potential to become a talisman master?" "It's more than just ordinary potential." Zhen Qingchen raised his head, his eyes shining. He looked at Du Xiaofu and asked, "Do you know what it takes to become a talisman master?" "Extraordinary spiritual power and spiritual root," Du Xiaofu replied. He had heard of these when he was young. There were very few people who could become warriors, and those who could become a talisman master were 1 in 10,000. Yes, to become a talisman master, you need extraordinary spiritual power and spiritual root. Both are indispensable. Your spiritual root is poor, even worse than your current martial vein. Zhen Qingchen said bluntly, "Then why did you say that I can become a talisman master?" Du Xiaofu raised his eyes. "You don't know shit." Zhen Qingchen rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu and said, "Your spiritual root is poor, but you have spiritual power that ordinary people can't compare to. It can be said that at your age you are in the top 3 in terms of spiritual power that I have seen. I really don't know where you get such strong spiritual power. I do have some extraordinary aspects. You have a good eye." Du Xiaofu smiled and didn't feel embarrassed at all. Then he asked Zhen Qingchen, "What does this have to do with becoming a talisman master?" Zhen Qingchen rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu and said, "Of course it has something to do with it. Because spiritual power is an innate advantage, it is difficult to improve it. However, there is a way to improve the spiritual root, and it can even be improved to a very strong level. As far as I know, there is no way to improve the spiritual root." Du Xiaofu was not stupid. Even if he hadn't eaten pork, he had seen pigs run. The spiritual root of a talisman master was the same as the martial vein of a martial artist. There was no way to improve it. Even if he encountered a great opportunity and took those heavenly treasures that could strengthen the martial vein and spiritual root, it wouldn't improve too much. "Others can't, but I can." Looking at Du Xiaofu, Zhen Qingchuan's expression became serious. "As long as you listen to me and worship me as your teacher, I can make you a talisman master." "Worship you as my teacher?" Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Zhen Qingchen and then said, "You can find another disciple. I am not interested. I just want to become a martial artist. I don't have the energy to bite off more than I can chew." Zhen Qingchen was stunned. He was flabbergasted. Then he scolded Du Xiaofu, "Brat, do you know that if I said I wanted to take a disciple in those years, I don't know how many spirit talisman masters in this world would have kowtowed until their heads were broken and bleeding, begging me to take them in. I heard that talisman masters are divided into 1-star talisman masters, 2-star talisman masters, 3-star talisman masters, and 4-star talisman masters. I once heard from my uncle that a long time ago he had seen a 5-star talisman master. I don't know what level of talisman master you are." Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and asked, "It is not convenient to tell you my identity for the time being, so as not to distract you from your practice. It will also bring you unnecessary trouble. I can tell you that a 5-star talisman master is just a fart in my heyday. Zhen Qingchen said confidently. Du Xiaofu's mouth twitched, looking at Zhen Qingchuan's confident expression. A 5-star talisman master was already a famous expert in the empire. Even the emperor of the empire would have to personally greet such an expert. But in Zhen Qingchuan's eyes, a 5-star talisman master was just a fart. If this spread out, he would be ridiculed by countless people as a lunatic. Du Xiaofu also didn't believe it. Looking at Zhen Qingchuan's wretched face, he didn't look older than himself. He didn't look like a peerless expert. Boy, do you want to be my apprentice or not? Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and asked, the corners of his eyes twitching. He really didn't expect that one day he would be reduced to the point of asking someone to be his apprentice. Could it be that a talisman master was worthless today? No. Although I have some interest in becoming a talisman master, I don't believe you. Du Xiaofu directly refused. Why don't you believe me? I have already proved that I am a talisman master. Zhen Qingchen was about to collapse. Because you look too wretched. You look like a liar, Du Xiaofu said very seriously. Chapter 47. What do I have to do to make you believe me? Zhen Qingchen was about to break down. What kind of world was this? He actually asked someone to take him as his master. Could it be that this was a punishment from the heavens? Also, where did he look wretched? At most, he just looked a little unique. Unless you let me become a talisman master first, I won't believe you. Du Xiaofu said, You're a good schemer. If you don't want to be my apprentice, why should I teach you? Zhen Qingchen didn't want to do it. He knew that this kid was more shrewd than a thief. If he didn't want to be his apprentice and wanted him to teach him, this kid would definitely not admit it. Therefore, he must not be led by the nose by this kid. He didn't believe that he couldn't even deal with a kid now. Du Xiaofu shrugged, looked at Zhen Qingchen and said, If you want me to be your apprentice, you have to show some sincerity. What if I'm fooled? You, Zhen Qingchen was very aggrieved, really aggrieved. Taking a deep breath, Zhen Qingchen suppressed his anger and said, Okay, I'll let you become a spiritual talisman master first. But you have to promise me one condition. My primordial spirit is too weak now, so you have to give me some xianqi. Don't worry, it won't do you any harm. You'll recover after a night of breathing and adjusting your breath. Otherwise, I won't have the strength to teach you to become a spiritual talisman master. You can find someone else to teach you. Du Xiaofu hesitated. When it came to xianqi, he really didn't believe in Zhen Qingchen. But to be honest, Du Xiaofu really wanted to become a talisman master. He pondered and hesitated for a moment. Okay, I promise you. Du Xiaofu compromised. At this time, he could only gamble once. After all, he really wanted to become a talisman master. Zhen Qingchen coldly snorted and stared hatefully at Du Xiaofu. He felt that he was at a disadvantage today. As the saying goes, the older the ginger, the spicier. But today he didn't have the slightest advantage at all. He felt like he had played with an eagle all his life, but in the end he was bitten by a bird. Just as Zhen Qingchen said, he really only needed Du Xiaofu's xianqi. Under Zhen Qingchuan's instructions, Du Xiaofu directly poured his profound energy into the small pagoda. Then, the small pagoda flickered with a dazzling light, and an ancient aura spread out. Du Xiaofu was surprised. He remembered that he had tried to inject xianqi into the small tower last time, but at that time the small tower didn't have the slightest reaction. When Du Xiaofu felt that the xianqi in his body was exhausted, Zhen Qingchen, who had entered the small tower again, spoke to Du Xiaofu. He said, Kid, the xianqi in your body is much purer and more abundant than I thought. It's about time. If you continue to consume it, it will be harmful to your future cultivation. Wait 3 days for me to recover. After 3 days, I will teach you to become a talisman master. During these 3 days, you should also prepare some materials. Remember, don't let anyone know of my existence, including your closest family members. Then, Zhen Qingchun gave Du Xiaofu a long list of names of spirit herbs. Many of them were names that Du Xiaofu had never heard of before. Quite a bit of Xian Qi had been taken away by Zhen Qingchun, and Du Xiaofu urgently needed to breathe and recover. After memorizing the list, he sat cross-legged on the bed and began to cultivate the Golden Rocks cultivation method to recover. The next morning, under the shadow of the morning sun, in the morning fog array, Stone City was awakened. Outside the Du family, it was bustling with noise and excitement. Stone City's city lord, Yi Baolin, brought his beloved daughter to visit the Du family. He said that he wanted to thank the Du family's young master, Du Xiaofu, for saving his beloved daughter, Yi Zijin, in the misty mountains. When the news spread, it immediately spread throughout Stone City. As a citizen of Stone City, there was absolutely no one who didn't know about the Yi family. When it came to the 5 great families of Stone City, no matter how much competition there was between the other families, no one thought that there was a family that could be stronger than the Yi family. Even the Du family, who had been in the limelight recently, was no exception. The reason was that the Yi family had been in control of Stone City for 5 generations. Stone City's city lord had been a member of the Yi family for 5 consecutive generations. Just this point alone was enough to explain everything. The Yi family had always been the unshakable number 1 family among the 5 great families. It was said that there was only a month left until the competition between the 5 great families' younger generation that occurred once every 3 years. At this time, the city lord personally went to the Du family to visit a junior of the Du family. This caused some people to have some thoughts. In the morning, when Du Xiaofu withdrew his hand seal and stopped breathing, he already felt that there was someone outside the courtyard. Du Xiaofu walked out of the courtyard and saw a clever young man dressed as a servant. The young man was extremely polite and respectful to Du Xiaofu. When they met, he introduced himself. He said that the head steward of the backyard, Du Hai, had been severely punished by the head steward of the front yard because of his incompetence and embezzlement. At the same time, he would be the head steward of the backyard and would listen to Du Xiaofu's arrangements at any time. Du Xiaofu nodded. He had also seen this person before. He was the son of an old servant of the Du family. He had lived in the Du family since he was young, but he didn't have much of an impression of him. However, regarding Uncle Lin's efficiency and use of people, he secretly sighed in his heart. He was indeed worthy of being an old member of the Du family. Uncle Lin was also a very important person. He arranged for an ordinary person to be the head steward of the backyard because of him. From this young man, Du Xiaofu found out about the city lord's visit. After asking about the general reason, he couldn't help but frown. His drunkard father wasn't in the room. After washing up, Du Xiaofu could only go to the main hall. When Du Xiaofu arrived at the main hall, there were already many people sitting in the spacious hall. In the seats of honor, Du Xiaofu saw Uncle Du Jinwu and second Uncle Du Jixiong. There were also a few members of the Du family that were rarely seen. These elders of the Du family rarely showed themselves, but their status was very high. Sometimes it was even not below the patriarch. Below Uncle Du and the others, there were many elders sitting with them. There were also many outstanding members of the younger generation of the Du family. Du Yu and Du Shui were among them. However, Du Xiaofu didn't see Du Hao, Du Yan, and the others. They were probably too heavily injured yesterday and couldn't see anyone today. Otherwise, they would naturally attend such an important occasion. When Du Xiaofu stepped into the main hall, he immediately felt a lot of unkind gazes. It seemed that many elders of the Du family were gnashing their teeth and looking at him, but they could only hold it in. On the other side of the main hall, Du Xiaofu saw many unfamiliar people. In the front, there was a heroic middle-aged man in his 40s. He was wearing a long robe and had a smile on his face. He looked very talkative and had a kind of imposing temperament. He has a very strong strength. This was Du Xiaofu's impression of the heroic middle-aged man. On the heroic middle-aged man's body, Du Xiaofu felt an aura that was different from that of his uncle Du Jinwu. This aura was not as strong as that of his uncle Du Jinwu. It was more gentle. However, Du Xiaofu's intuition told him that this gentle aura was stronger than that of his uncle Du Xiaofu. Is this the Stone City's Lord Yi Baolin? Du Xiaofu looked up at the heroic middle-aged man. He had heard of the Stone City's Lord Yi Baolin's name, but he had never seen him before. He had heard that this time the Lord of the Stone City had come. Without a doubt, the person sitting at the top was naturally the Lord of the Stone City. When he was very young, Du Xiaofu had read a lot of books under the guidance of the Du family's private tutor. He had heard a lot about the outside world. Stone City was just a border city of the empire. There were counties above the city. There were mansions above the counties, and the mansions above the mansions were under the direct jurisdiction of the empire. It was rumored that the lord of the mansions was the existence of a marquis or king. They were all famous experts. Of course, there were many empires on the continent. There were often wars between the empires, and there were countless casualties. Fortunately, Stone City was a border city and did not have a border with other empires. Usually, there would not be any wars between the empires. It could be regarded as a paradise. When Du Xiaofu's gaze landed on a young girl beside the middle-aged man, Du Xiaofu's eyes moved slightly. He was a little surprised just now. When did he save the city, Lord's daughter? So she was the city, Lord's daughter. Only then did Du Xiaofu seriously size up the young girl. He carefully sized her up. Her appearance was really not bad. She was not inferior to the profound talisman sex, Zhu Shui. She could even be compared to the woman in tight clothes whom he had robbed before. However, if the two were to be compared, the two temperaments were different. That woman was noble and tall, but the young girl in front of him was a bit more cold and elegant. Greetings to eldest uncle, second uncle, and all the elders. Du Xiaofu glanced over the matter. It seemed that the people from the Yi clan had been chatting with his eldest uncle for a long time. He quickly walked to his eldest uncle, second uncle, and the elders of the clan and bowed. As for the so-called elders of the Du clan, Du Xiaofu did not pay attention to them. Xiaofu, let me introduce you. This is Lord Yi, quickly bow. As for Lord Ye's daughter, Miss Zijin, I think you already know her. Du Jinwu smiled and introduced to Du Xiaofu. Greetings to Lord Yi. Du Xiaofu heard this. His guess was right. The heroic middle-aged man was the lord of Stone City, Yi Baolin. He immediately bowed. Nephew, there's no need to be so courteous. What city lord? Just call me Uncle Yi. I came here specifically to thank you. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid Zijin would be in danger now. You're truly a young hero. My Stone City has produced another outstanding talent. Yi Baolin looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. It was clear that he really wanted to thank him. Then he waved his hand. Behind him, a person wearing armor and dressed like a soldier came forward and handed a 3-feet-long box to Du Xiaofu. Yi Baolin smiled at Du Xiaofu and signaled Du Xiaofu to accept the box. He said, Nephew Xiaofu, please accept it. This is the Ink Spirit Sword for my Yi clan. Although it is not enough to represent the value of Zijin in my heart, it is still a small token of my appreciation. Chapter 48. It's actually the Ink Spirit Sword. What extravagance! Hearing the 3 words Ink Spirit Sword, the eyes of many of the Du family elders in the hall immediately lit up, and many envious and passionate gazes immediately fell on Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was taken aback. From the reactions of the crowd, it was not difficult to tell that this Ink Spirit Sword was not an ordinary item, and for a moment he did not know whether to accept it or not. Accept it! Thank you for saving me and my Yi family disciples. A small Ink Spirit Sword is really not enough to express my gratitude. Yi Zijin opened her mouth, looking at Du Xiaofu with a radiant smile, causing many of the younger Du family disciples to stare in a daze. Miss Yi is too courteous. My help last time was really not worth mentioning. I dare not accept your thanks. Du Xiaofu nodded slightly at Yi Zijin. In fact, This was the first time he had spoken formally with Yi Zijin, and then his gaze turned towards his eldest uncle and second uncle. Xiaofu, please accept City Lord Ye's good intentions. Du Jinwu smiled at Du Xiaofu. Thank you very much, City Lord Yi. Du Xiaofu did not stand on ceremony, and gently accepted the brocade box from the armored soldier. Remember to call me Uncle Yi. Calling me City Lord would seem distant. Yi Baolin smiled with satisfaction. Yes, Uncle Yi. Du Xiaofu nodded in response. Yi Zijin stood up, looking at Du Xiaofu. Her pearly white teeth parted slightly as she smiled. I wonder if my savior is free today. Would you like to accompany me for a stroll in the city? What? As Yi Zijin's words left her mouth, the outstanding younger generation of the Du family in the hall were instantly speechless with envy. In the entire Stone City, who knew how many outstanding people were pursuing this daughter of the city lord? But until now, no one had ever had the chance. All the suitors could only raise their heads and look up to her. Yet now, this daughter of the city governor that all the suitors in the city looked up to had actually taken the initiative to ask Du Xiaofu out. The deep meaning contained within this was sufficient to cause one's imagination to run wild, and even the gazes of Du Jinwu, Du Jixiong, and the others fluctuated in their hearts. Du Xiaofu raised his head to look at Yi Zijin in front of him. Under the gaze of all eyes, his face revealed an extremely regretful expression. Thank you, Miss Yi, for thinking so highly of me. But I am very sorry I happen to have some important matters to attend to today. How about another day? Of course. Then we shall go another day. Yi Zijin's delicate and charming face had a smile from beginning to end. Her smile was very beautiful, causing many of the Du family's youths to be reluctant to shift their gazes away. No way. Du Xiaofu actually rejected Miss Yi Zijin. Didn't he say he wasn't stupid? Why is he acting stupid again now? This brat beat up Du Hao and the others yesterday, so he can't be stupid. Many of the elders in the clan were discussing how to punish him last night. I'm afraid it's impossible to punish him. The city lord has already come to thank him today, so who can do anything to him? It can only be considered as Du Hao and the others being unlucky. In the hall, the last group of the younger generation of the Du family had already begun to discuss in low voices. All of them were filled with hatred. If Miss Yi Zijin had invited them, they would have put aside even the most important matters. They had never imagined that Du Xiaofu would actually reject her like this. Hee, I came here mainly to thank nephew Xiaofu. There are many matters in the city, so I have to take my leave first. I will disturb everyone in the Du family another day. Yi Baolin smiled, stood up, and took his leave. I won't keep you any longer. I know you have many matters to attend to in the city. Du Jinwu did not say too many polite words, and his tone was not very polite either. This proved that their relationship was not bad. When Yi Baolin left, the Du family naturally followed and sent him off. Du Xiaofu also followed behind until the Yi family members were far away. Looking at the Yi family members in the distance, Du Jinwu's expression suddenly froze. Then he walked back to the Du family with his hands behind his back. A voice said to Du Xiaofu, "Xiaofu, come to the hall for a moment. I have something to ask you." When Du Jinwu's voice fell, many of the Du family elders immediately looked at Du Xiaofu with eyes filled with anger. It was as if Du Xiaofu owed them tens of millions of cultivation coins. Let's go to the hall. Du Jixiong stood behind Du Xiaofu without anyone noticing. He gently patted Du Xiaofu's shoulder with a smile on his face. Du Xiaofu nodded with a smile on his face. Looks like Du Xiaofu still can't escape this calamity. Of course, last time, Du Xiaofu robbed Du Hao and the others of their violent stone demon, wolf blood essence, and foundation establishment pill. Yesterday, Du Hao and the others were beaten so badly by Du Xiaofu again. The great elder and the others naturally won't let it go. I heard that the great elder personally went to find the patriarch last night. No wonder the city lord came today and couldn't help Du Xiaofu avoid this calamity. There's a show to watch. Let's go and take a look. Greetings, City Lord. Look, City Lord Yi is coming out. On the wide streets of the Stone City, the Yi clan's Fergana horse swayed back and forth. It had an extraordinary aura. Along the way, it attracted countless gazes. All the residents of the city saluted. This was something that the other 4 clans couldn't compare with. As the city lord, he was the true owner of the Stone City. Girl, did you see clearly? On the Fergana horse, Yi Baolin occasionally waved his hand to the surrounding residents and asked the girl beside him. His tone was calm without any emotion. The more I interact with him, the more I can't see clearly. Yi Zijin said softly. Ever since they came out of the Du clan, she had been frowning, neither servile nor overbearing, advancing and retreating in an orderly manner. No wonder he was able to endure for 10 years. What a foolish young master! It seems that this time the Du clan has really produced an extraordinary young man. Yi Baolin smiled, gazing at the young girl beside him. His eyes were filled with love as he said, "But I didn't expect that he would actually reject my precious daughter. Could it be that he doesn't like my precious daughter? Father, how can you use this to make fun of your daughter? If it wasn't for the Yi clan, I wouldn't be like this." Yi Zijin glared at Yi Baolin. Her charming face was filled with anger. She then murmured, "But no matter what, there is still a month left. I'm afraid that there will be some excitement in the Stone City. The real excitement will be in a month." At that time, Yi Baolin seemed to have heard Yi Zijin's words. He wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. His expression also became serious. In the main hall of the Du clan, everyone was once again seated. The few elders of the Du clan were still among them, but many of them were looking at Du Xiaofu with hatred. Du Xiaofu stood in the middle of the hall, hugging the brocade box that Yi Baolin had just given him. He didn't have time to look at the ink spirit sword inside, but it was neither light nor heavy. Glancing at the elders of the Du family in the hall, Du Xiaofu recognized many of them. They were the parents, uncles, and aunts of Du Hao, Du Yan, and the others who were beaten up by him yesterday. "Xiaofu, I heard that you injured Du Hao, Du Yan, and the others yesterday. Do you know that you have violated the rules of the Du clan?" At the head of the hall, Du Jinwu looked at Du Xiaofu. His eyes were filled with dignity. As the head of the Du clan, he naturally had a powerful aura. "Uncle, I didn't." Du Xiaofu raised his head with a calm expression on his face. "Du Xiaofu, you still dare to say that you didn't? You seriously injured Yenner, and he's still lying in bed unable to move. Do you think that's fake? My Cheer is also seriously injured and lying in bed. I'm afraid that he won't be able to get out of bed for at least a year. How can that be fake? Hauer and his cousin were seriously injured by you, and their cultivations were almost crippled by you. How vicious of you to deal such a heavy blow to your brothers and sisters." After Du Xiaofu's words sounded, the sharp voices of quite a number of gossipy women were immediately emitted from the hall. Numerous furious gazes viciously landed on Du Xiaofu's body. It was as though they wished to swallow Du Xiaofu alive. On the other hand, although there was displeasure and anger in the eyes of those men, there were not many of them who were in a hurry to express anything at this moment. "Silence!" Du Jinwu spoke up. He looked at the gossipy women with dignity in his eyes. "As elders, how can you be so noisy?" The group of women dared not say anything more when they heard that, but their gazes were fixed on Du Xiaofu without any kindness. Only then did Du Jinwu look at Du Xiaofu and ask, "Xiaofu, you've heard what the elder said. Do you have anything to say?" "Yes." Du Xiaofu's reply was simple and forceful. Afterwards, he looked at Du Jinwu and asked, "Uncle, they said that I beat someone up. May I ask if anyone here saw it with their own eyes?" Everyone was stunned when they heard that. Even Du Jinwu and Du Zhixiong were caught off guard. "Du Xiaofu, you're lying through your teeth at such a young age. More than 10 people were injured by you. What other excuses do you have? After being stunned for a moment, the gossipy women began to stir again. Indeed, no one had seen it with their own eyes yesterday. They were actually clear about the situation yesterday. Du Xiaofu and the others went to find trouble with Du Xiaofu, so it was naturally not easy for others to see them. However, in the end, they did not expect that instead of trouble, more than 10 people were injured by Du Xiaofu. Uncle, I didn't beat anyone up. If you don't believe me, you can call them out for a confrontation. Du Xiaofu did not pay attention to those gossipy women. There was not much emotion on his face, and he remained indifferent. Confrontation, yes. We'll know once we confront them. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, some gossipy women immediately became happy as if they had caught something that could be used against him. With more than 10 people confronting each other, there was no need to be afraid that this guy would not admit the truth. At that time, even the family head would not be able to protect him. It was an ironclad fact that Du Hao and the others were beaten up. Once they confronted each other, there was no need to be afraid that the guy would deny it. Chapter 49. Good. Then let's have a confrontation. Du Jinwu looked at Du Xiaofu, his eyes slightly fluctuating. However, this was Du Xiaofu's first suggestion, so he nodded and said to the people in the hall, then quickly called Du Hao and the others over. Hearing Du Jinwu's words, many gossipy women immediately walked out happily. As long as they had a confrontation, Du Xiaofu would not be able to deny it. Xiaofu, sit down and wait. Du Zhixiong had been sitting there without saying anything. After seeing those gossipy women go out, he opened his mouth to speak. Thank you, second uncle. Du Xiaofu did not stand on ceremony, nor did he look for an empty seat at the bottom of the hall. Instead, he directly sat where Yi Zijin had sat not long ago. It could be considered as the head of the hall, giving off a feeling of superiority. Du Xiaofu did not sit where Yi Baolin had sat, so he was on the same level as eldest uncle. Many people saw Du Xiaofu directly sitting at the head of the hall, and their eyes had some opinions, but they did not dare to say anything at this time. After all, Du Xiaofu was the nephew of the clan head and second master. At this time, under the intimidation of the clan head and second master, no one dared to directly express anything. They could only allow those gossipy women to make a fuss first. Firstly, the clan head could not say anything, and secondly, it was a test of the waters. After all, now everyone knew that Du Xiaofu was no longer that foolish young master. With his identity as the son of the third master, he naturally had a much higher status than his peers in the clan. The Du clan was divided into the main branch and the side branch, but there was no doubt that Du Xiaofu's identity was the main branch of the main branch. Du Xiaofu did not bother to pay attention to the gazes of others, nor did he intend to pay attention to them. He directly opened the brocade box in his hand, and then a 1-meter-long sword appeared in his hand. The scabbard was simple, and the decorations were simple, revealing a heavy aura. Buzz! Du Xiaofu unsheathed his sword, and the sword hummed like a rainbow. The 3-feet-long sword was completely black in color, and runes were engraved on it. A fierce aura immediately swept out. Everyone's gazes were fixed on the ink-black sword. They looked at it quietly, but it was as if they were looking at a living creature. It was like a sleeping dragon or a hibernating beast. It made people's hearts tremble for no reason. What a good ink spirit sword. It's a mid-grade spirit weapon. In the great hall, many gazes were fixed on Du Xiaofu as the ink spirit sword in his hand became heated. If it weren't for the presence of the patriarch and the second master, there would probably be people who would not be able to resist the urge to charge up. A middle-grade spirit artifact was something that an ordinary pulsation realm expert would not be able to afford even if they sold their entire fortune. Du Xiaofu sure is lucky. The owners of the heated gazes wanted nothing more than to tear Du Xiaofu to shreds. Without a doubt, Du Xiaofu's luck was too good this time. Yi Baolin's first move was a middle-grade spirit artifact. One had to know that this ink spirit sword was famous in the entire Stone City. Du Jixiong and Du Jinwu's gazes also fell on the ink spirit sword. They faintly smiled, but there were serious doubts in their eyes, as if they were thinking about something. In this world, there were spirit artifacts, talisman artifacts, magic artifacts, Tao artifacts, and saint artifacts. In fact, these were all weapons. However, weapons that had reached the spirit artifact level could not be compared to those ordinary items. They had all reached the level of treasures. Spirit artifacts, talisman artifacts, magic artifacts, Tao artifacts, and saint artifacts. Every single one of them was further divided into the elementary grade, middle grade, and high grade. According to legend, those magic artifacts and Tao artifacts already possessed the might to move mountains and overturn seas. If they were refined by an expert for their own use, they would be capable of penetrating the heavens and earth and shaking mountains and rivers. As a martial artist, a good weapon could naturally greatly increase one's strength. If two people of similar strength had a weapon that was much stronger than the other, then the chances of winning would naturally be more than 99%. Du Xiaofu knew that this ink spirit sword was not ordinary. From the surprised voices in the great hall, he could tell that this ink spirit sword was a middle-grade spirit artifact. Although it was only a middle-grade spirit artifact, its value was already shocking. This time, the Yi family was extremely generous. It seems like I have not cultivated any sword martial techniques. However, he had not cultivated any sword martial techniques. Currently, he had no use for this ink spirit sword. Sheathing the sword, Du Xiaofu put the ink spirit sword back into the brocade box under the blazing gazes of the crowd. The blazing gazes were somewhat restrained this time. If Du Xiaofu had this ink spirit sword in his hands 2 months ago, not to mention those of the same generation who would fight for it, even the elders of the Du family who are currently seated would definitely put aside their pride to fight for it. Family head, elders, Du Hao and the rest have all arrived. At this moment, those gossipy women who had hurriedly gone to confront the others hurriedly returned. Every one of them had a cold smile on their faces, waiting for Du Xiaofu to be unable to explain himself. They were afraid that, in front of the truth, there was absolutely no room for denial. Greetings, Patriarch. Greetings, elders. Du Hao, Du Yan, and the rest had all arrived. Instantly, they bowed towards the family head and the elders of the Du family, feeling wronged. Every one of them was wrapped in gauze, and their faces were smeared with ointment. From the looks of it, before coming here, they had definitely dressed up meticulously. Family head, elders, Du Xiaofu has gone too far. He ruthlessly beat us up and even stole our belongings. Family head, elders, please uphold justice for us. After more than 10 young men and women who were wrapped up meticulously bowed, Du Hao was the first to kneel down. His face was filled with grievance, and his eyes were almost watery, making him look very pitiful. Family head, elders, please uphold justice for us and severely punish the murderer, Du Xiaofu. Du Yan and the rest immediately followed Du Hao and kneeled down. All the spearheads were naturally focused on Du Xiaofu. Indeed, they were all beaten up by Du Xiaofu. This could not be considered unjust. They were also beaten up quite badly. The few elders were visibly moved as they looked at Du Jinwu, waiting for him to speak. These injuries were indeed real, and the beating was not light. It was just that the bandages were a little overdone, but that was purely for visual effect. It did not affect the vicious gazes of the experts present. Du Hao and the others were not lightly beaten, definitely not lightly. Du Jinwu and Du Jixiong looked at Du Hao and the rest. Their gazes also changed slightly. They naturally could see that Du Hao, Du Yan, and the rest had suffered a lot. Du Jinwu looked at Du Xiaofu and calmly asked, "Xiaofu, do you have any explanation?" "Yes." Du Xiaofu nodded. Looking at Du Hao and the rest who were kneeling on the ground in front of him, he opened his mouth and said, "Didn't you say that Du Hao, Du Yan, and the rest were beaten up by me to the point where they could not get out of bed for a year and a half? Why did they come out now?" How could Du Xiaofu not know the severity of the people he beat up? Although he didn't beat them lightly, it was impossible for him to really beat up those guys. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Du Hao and the rest of the gossipy women were suddenly speechless. In fact, the Du family members present already knew in their hearts that it was a bit exaggerated to say that Du Hao and the rest would not be able to get out of the house for a year and a half. However, this was only a modifier. It proved that Du Hao and the rest were really beaten up badly. Who would have thought that Du Xiaofu would actually go off topic and use the sentence to make an issue out of it, leaving them somewhat speechless? Du Xiaofu, what does this have to do with you mercilessly bullying your brothers and sisters? Now that the facts are in front of you, do you still want to deny it? A somewhat fierce-looking woman stepped forward bravely. She did not want to be involved with Du Xiaofu on these unrelated issues. Du Xiaofu looked at the woman. His calm and clear eyes suddenly became fierce. He said in a deep voice, "How can it not be related? You said that Du Hao and the rest were beaten up by me to the point where they could not get out of bed and could not get out of the house. Now it seems that you are obviously lying. You are wronging me. As the saying goes, if there is a first, there will be a second. Therefore you said that I beat up Du Hao and the rest. You are also wronging me." Du Xiaofu, you! Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the woman was so angry that she almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Du Xiaofu, you are denying it. Du Xiaofu, you are pestering endlessly. Clearly, you are the one who was merciless and seriously injured Yan, and the rest. One by one, the gossipy women began to criticize Du Xiaofu. How could they allow Du Xiaofu to deny it? Du Xiaofu looked at the gossipy women. His clear eyes were filled with fierceness. He said, "You are all my elders. Now, so many elders are bullying me, besieging me and framing me. It doesn't matter if I am wronged or wronged by you. But if this spread out, don't you think that the Du family's face will be lost because of you?" When the gossipy women heard this, their voices came to an abrupt stop. Their faces turned red, and blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. Chapter 50. Du Xiaofu, you are denying it. We were seriously injured by you. Du Hao couldn't bear it anymore. He stood up and shouted at Du Xiaofu. "Why would I injure you?" Du Xiaofu asked. "We brought my cousin to you to ask for the violent stone demon, Wolf's blood essence, and building foundation dan. Not only did you not give it to us, you also seriously injured us, and finally robbed our belongings." Du Hao angrily glared at Du Xiaofu and shouted, "What is your cousin's cultivation?" Du Xiaofu asked. "Innate realm." Du Hao was puzzled, but he still loudly replied. His voice was filled with pride. Having a cousin who was in the innate realm and an imperial knight was naturally something worthy of his pride. "Then where is your cousin now?" Du Xiaofu asked. "Among the dozens of injured people. All of them were Du family's children, but the armored youth was nowhere to be seen." Du Hao was stunned. Then he clenched his teeth and said, "My cousin was seriously injured by you. He left last night and returned to the team. The violent stone demon Wolf's blood essence and building foundation dan were all won by me. Why should I give it to you?" Du Xiaofu's gaze did not leave any trace as he continued to speak. "Bullshit! It's you who robbed us. It's you who robbed us of our violent stone, demonic Wolf's blood essence, and building foundation dan." Du Hao shouted loudly. Who would deny it like this, refusing to admit it in front of everyone? "No, I only won. I didn't rob you." Du Xiaofu insisted that he did not rob. "In front of everyone, don't deny it." Du Hao almost roared. "Then how about the cultivation coins and dawn that you robbed me for 10 years? Du Xiaofu asked. "The dawn and cultivation coins that I robbed from you, added together, are not even 1% of the price of the violent stone demon Wolf's blood essence and building foundation dan." Du Hao roared out, but as soon as he spoke, he suddenly reacted. His complexion greatly changed in a split second. A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. Then he swept his gaze across everyone in the hall, and finally looked at Du Jinwu and said, "Uncle, you heard it right? Du Hao and the rest have robbed my mystic coins and medicinal pills for 10 years, and they personally admitted it. There's no room for falsehood. This time it's even worse. He brought his cousin along to rob me, and in the end he falsely accused me of seriously injuring them and robbing them. His cousin is a Xiantian realm cultivator, and he said that I seriously injured them. How could I have done that? Uncle, please help me. Du Xiaofu, you're slandering me. Du Hao glared at Du Xiaofu and shouted. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was unknown whether it was because of his injuries or because he was too angry. You personally admitted that you robbed me of 10 years of cultivation coins and pills. I'm not lying. Du Xiaofu said indifferently. Even so, it's true that you robbed us of our building foundation Dan and violent stone demon wolf's blood essence. Yesterday, you also seriously injured us and robbed us of all our belongings. Du Hao shouted loudly. At this time, he could only say what he wanted to say. He didn't believe that Du Xiaofu could really quibble his way out of this. First, according to the rules of the clan, only the winner of the competition between the younger generation can get the violent stone demon wolf's blood essence and building foundation Dan. I also have the qualifications. The 3 of you together are not my opponent, so the violent stone demon wolf's blood essence and building foundation Dan are naturally mine. Do you have the qualifications to take them? Du Xiaofu looked at Du Hao and said. His voice slowly fell in the hall, and many people's eyes secretly changed. Indeed, Du Xiaofu was right. He also had the qualifications to participate in the competition. Du Hao and the other 2 were not his opponent. The clan's best resources were naturally given to the strongest younger generation. Although Du Xiaofu took 3 things, which was a bit too much, but it also proved his ability. He was dealing with 3 people alone, and he had already taken 3 things. Now, what else could they do? If they really wanted to blame someone, they could only blame Du Hao and the other 2 for not having the ability. Du Xiaofu looked at Du Hao and continued, Second, you don't have the ability, but you still brought outsiders to find trouble with me. In the end, you don't even know why you turned against me, and even said that I seriously injured you. I injured you. Anyway, you don't have the ability, so you can't blame anyone for not being my opponent. But open your eyes and think about it. That cousin of yours is a Xiantian realm warrior. How can I beat him? Clearly, he was the one who injured me yesterday, and even robbed my belongings. It's fine that I didn't come to complain. I planned to endure for a while to calm down and take a step back. I didn't expect that you guys would come to frame me and frame me. The Du family really shames the ancestors of the Du family for having descendants like you. The whole place was silent. Everyone looked at Du Xiaofu with astonishment in their eyes. Was this still Du Xiaofu? Was this really the Du Xiaofu of the past? Du Hao and the other 3 women, plus dozens of people, were not his opponent. Everyone could hear that Du Xiaofu not only pushed himself away, but also scolded Du Hao and the other 10 people. What he meant was that they came to find trouble with him, but instead they were injured by him. Even if they didn't have the ability, they still had the cheek to complain. Wasn't it shameful enough? They were simply letting their ancestors down. Du Xiaofu, you're talking nonsense. Du Hao's cousin was beaten by you yesterday. He couldn't even get up. He was not your opponent. You robbed us. Du Yan and Du Chong couldn't help but rush out. All the injured people's faces were red. They were going to die of suffocation. Du Yan, Du Chong, according to age, you are my cousins. I am your younger brother. It's fine if you don't love me. Take care of me and care for me. But do you have to treat your younger brother like this? Du Xiaofu's face was full of resentment, and he shouted at Du Yan, Du Chong, and the others, use your brains to think. A Xiantian realm cultivator was seriously injured by me in one move. I am a waste martial vein cultivator. Although I can cultivate now, but do you think I am big uncle, second uncle, or the elders? How can a Xiantian realm cultivator be beaten down in one move? It was clearly that person who beat me down in one move. If I didn't escape quickly, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to come to the hall today. Everyone in the hall was visibly moved, including the elders of the clan. It was indeed impossible for a Xiantian stage cultivator to be beaten down by Du Xiaofu in one move. No matter how strong Du Xiaofu was, he didn't have that kind of strength. Some people in the hall had already begun to think that although Du Hao, Du Yan, and the others had suffered a little, they had probably panicked a little too much. With Du Hao's cousin present, they were afraid that Du Xiaofu would not be able to gain any advantage and would definitely suffer some losses. In addition, Du Xiaofu was right. Du Hao and Du Yan could be considered as Du Xiaofu's elder brothers. More than a dozen people bullying the young was really not good. Moreover, they even brought outsiders to deal with Du Xiaofu. This was even more excessive. Venomous slander, inverting black and white. Pucci! Several youths' blood and qi attacked their hearts. They were so angry that blood mist spurted out of their mouths. How could they play with people like this? How could they deny it like this? Now it was their turn to be powerless to defend themselves. So Du Xiaofu had become the victim. How am I inverting black and white? Why don't you call that cousin of Du Hao's to come and confront him? He is a Xiantian realm cultivator. He came to my Du family to bully me. I'm afraid that my Du family will settle the score with him. So he didn't dare to stay. Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Du Yan and the others. In any case, Du Hao's cousin had already left. It would be difficult to confront him. Moreover, even if he came to confront him, it wouldn't matter. A person had two mouths. Besides eating, wasn't it just for talking? You, Pucci! Du Hao, Du Yan, Du Chong, and the others' blood and qi attacked their hearts again. Blood mist spurted out. A few Du family elders finally fainted. They reluctantly rushed up to check on their injuries. I believe that cousin Du Hao and the others will definitely be able to win glory for the Du family. That's right, cousin Du Hao, Du Chong, and cousin Du Yan have robbed me of 10 years' worth of medicinal pills and mystic coins. Yesterday, they even injured me and robbed my belongings. I will not pursue this matter anymore. I hope that uncle will not make things difficult for cousin Du Hao and the others. After all, they still have to win glory for the Du family in a month. I will take my leave first. As his voice fell, Du Xiaofu stood up, hugging the ink spirit sword. He left the hall without looking back. The hall was silent once again. Everyone was stunned. Du Xiaofu's words had a hidden meaning. He did not plan to go to the competition between the 5 great families' younger generation in a month's time and ask Du Hao, Du Yan, and the others to go. However, everyone knew that even if Du Hao and the others joined forces, they were still not a match for Du Xiaofu alone. What the hell was there to go? The Du family's biggest hope was undoubtedly on Du Xiaofu. Everyone understood that Du Xiaofu wanted the patriarch to not blame Du Hao, Du Chong, and Du Yan for robbing him of 10 years' worth of medicinal pills and mystic coins, as well as yesterday's matter. However, the real meaning was that if he was not given a satisfactory answer, then the competition between the 5 great families' younger generation in a month's time would have nothing to do with him. The entire hall fell into silence. No one had thought that things would develop like this. The current Du Xiaofu was no longer the Du Xiaofu of the past. Compared to him, Du Hao, Du Yan, and the others were not enough. The majority of the people still believed that Du Hao and the others must have suffered a great loss. After all, their injuries were obvious to all. However, it was a pity that Du Hao, Du Yan, and the others could not win against Du Xiaofu. In the end, they were rendered speechless by Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu, that little fellow, is too sneaky. Could it be that for those 10 years, that little fellow was really enduring? Enduring for an entire 10 years? Everyone sighed in their hearts. Under the ridicule, and abuse of all the family members, enduring for 10 years, what kind of perseverance and state of mind did that require? And now, that youth no longer endured. Compared to him, Du Hao, Du Yan, and Du Chong were simply unable to withstand a single blow. Chapter 51. Nonsense. You are all Du clan's disciples, yet you dare to cause trouble. A few of the Du family elders stood up and left the hall after saying a few inexplicable words, no longer paying any attention to Du Hao and the others. Stop fooling around. Disperse. Du Jinwu stood up, shook his sleeves, and left with the Du clan elders. Du Hao, Du Chong, Du Yen, and the other gossipy women were stunned in the hall, not knowing what to say. This result was completely different from what they had imagined. They originally thought that even if they couldn't punish Du Xiaofu, they could at least get back the violent stone demon, Wolf's Blood Essence, and Foundation Establishment Pill. This was their true goal. Who knew that not only did they not get anything, they even lost face. After Du Xiaofu left the Du clan's hall, it was already noon. After returning to the courtyard, Du Xiaofu placed the ink spirit sword into his Qinkuan bag and went directly to the martial scripture tower. Outside the martial scripture tower, Fu Yibai was leisurely leaning back on a rattan chair. In front of him, a Du clan youth was respectfully cleaning the place. After Du Xiaofu greeted Fu Yibai, he directly entered the martial scripture tower, causing the youth to be envious. This time, Du Xiaofu didn't go to the martial scripture tower to look for martial skills to cultivate. Instead, he wanted to find some things related to spirit talisman masters to understand, so that he wouldn't be cheated by that swindler, Jin Qingchen. The more he understood, the less chance he would be cheated. Unfortunately, there were no records of spirit talisman masters in the martial scripture tower that Du Xiaofu wanted. However, he did find some simple introductions. Spirit talisman master was a profession with a higher status than martial artists. Among ordinary people, there were very few who could become martial artists, and even fewer could become spirit talisman masters. The prerequisites to becoming a spirit talisman master were too harsh, and not many people could meet those harsh requirements. At the same time, talisman master was not a single profession. The 3 words talisman master included too many things, such as alchemy, refining weapons, and setting up formations. These were all things that talisman masters had to dabble in. It was said that it was impossible to have an all-round talisman master. After exchanging a few words with Fu Yibai and leaving the martial repository, Du Xiaofu didn't return to the courtyard but went to the back mountain instead. Interesting. This is getting more and more interesting. Looking at Du Xiaofu's back, a trace of a smile appeared on Fu Yibai's face. Then he closed his eyes and said to the youth in charge of cleaning, "Clean up seriously for me. Sweep the floor for me as well." In the back mountain of the Du family, Du Xiaofu fished out his Qinkuan pouch. He took out some spirit herbs that he had plundered and directly stuffed them into his mouth. If a spirit talisman master saw Du Xiaofu directly swallowing spirit herbs, he would be heartbroken. Directly swallowing spirit herbs without extracting the impurities contained within would cause the essence of the spirit herbs to not reach its optimal state. For a spirit talisman master who was proficient in alchemy, it was naturally a waste of spirit herbs. However, Du Xiaofu did not care about this. For someone who practiced the cultivation method of the golden-winged roc, the energy contained within the spirit herbs would remain in the body after consuming them. With the masochistic body refinement method, it was equivalent to a spirit talisman master refining spirit herbs. The effect was not inferior to a spirit talisman master refining spirit herbs. Rumble! A moment later, rumbling noises came from the depths of the Du family's back mountain. The startled birds flapped their wings and flew far away, while the wild beasts either hid or fled. Du Xiaofu wore a pair of shorts, and his body was wrapped in a pale golden light as he smashed into the cliff in a masochistic manner. Not far away, the king-scaled demonic tiger, the size of a wild cat, stared intently at the talisman patterns overflowing from the pale golden light around Du Xiaofu's body. It stared intently as if it was trying to comprehend something. This continued all the way until nightfall, when the rumbling noises gradually subsided. The elixirs in Du Xiaofu's body were almost completely absorbed. He put on his clothes and then sat cross-legged in the back of the mountain. He began to cultivate and completely refine the remaining elixirs in his body. Of course, the benefits brought by these elixirs were far from being comparable to the blood infant spirit mushroom. Huff! Early in the morning, Du Xiaofu exhaled a mouthful of turbid air in the back mountain. His eyes opened, and 2 drops of dew hung on his long eyelashes. His eyes were suffused with a pale golden glow. The redness and swelling on his body from yesterday's collision had completely recovered, causing his body to become even more sturdy and tall. I should go and purchase the list today, Du Xiaofu softly muttered. The list given to him by Zhan Qingchun needed to be completed as soon as possible. In the bustling stone city, the streets were bustling with people shuttling back and forth. From time to time, the clamor of hawking could be heard. Du Xiaofu walked in the stone city and looked around with interest. Along the way, he leisurely strolled and even bought a few suitable clothes and a few purple robes. In the end, he even bought a good wine jug. Textile City was the most prosperous place in the entire stone city. The Feng family, Qin family, Yi family, and Bai family also had many shops in Textile City. There were many shops in Textile City with a dazzling array of goods. Among them, there were many shops that sold martial arts items such as spirit herbs, martial skills, weapons, and so on. Therefore, Textile City was also the place where martial arts practitioners gathered the most. Martial arts practitioners had a unique status in this world. In this world, the strong were respected and strength was paramount. Martial arts practitioners who were much stronger than ordinary people were naturally respected. However, not everyone could become a martial arts practitioner. The difficulty was beyond the belief of ordinary people. Moreover, to become a martial arts practitioner, it was not something that could be achieved through pure effort. Du Xiaofu wanted to buy the things on Zhan Qingchun's list. Most of the items on the list were spirit herbs. Although he had plundered some spirit herbs from Shouhu's body, it was far from enough. The variety was also not complete. Not to mention, practicing the body refining technique required a lot of spirit herbs. Therefore, Du Xiaofu estimated that the things on the list would be expensive. Unless he sold some of the good things in the 2 Qiankuan bags, he would certainly not be able to afford them. The Du family had shops that specialized in selling spirit herbs, weapons, martial skills, and elixirs. Of course, the level of martial skills and elixirs were not high. Other families also had similar shops in Textile City, but they also did not have good things. They could only meet the needs of the Stone City. Although the Stone City was a city, it was after all a border area. There was no way to have good things. Du family shop, Du family shop. Du Xiaofu walked into the Du family shop. Greetings to young Master Xiaofu. Inside the Du family shop, there were 2 tall and sturdy men dressed in tight clothes. When they saw Du Xiaofu, they were stunned. It was obvious that they were quite surprised. Then they immediately bowed respectfully. Du Xiaofu nodded, indicating that the 2 men did not need to be overly courteous. He took out a large bag and a list that he had prepared beforehand and handed it to the 2 men. He said, "Give these things to your shopkeeper and calculate how much they are worth. In addition, I want to buy some things." Since he wanted to buy things and spirit herbs, he would not let the fertile water flow to his own fields. The quantity was relatively large. Du Xiaofu naturally chose his own shop first. The 2 burly men took the bundle and list and immediately went to look for the head shopkeeper. Du Xiaofu, on the other hand, was slowly sizing up the interior of the shop. Other than the few times he visited the shop when he was young, this was his first time here. Not long after, the shopkeeper personally ran out. "Xiaofu, why are you here?" The shopkeeper was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He was thin and not very tall, but his eyes were bright. One look and one could tell that he was an extremely shrewd person. Du Xiaofu recognized this middle-aged man. His name was Du Ping, a member of the main branch of the Du family. It was said that his martial talent was not high, so he was in charge of the Du family shop. One must know that in this world where martial arts were respected, if one's martial talent was not high, even if he was in charge of the Du family shop, his position in the Du family was not high. Therefore, he usually did not return to the Du family. He would only return during festivals. "Uncle Ping, Does the shop have the things I want? Du Xiaofu had a lot of respect for Du Ping. He remembered that when he was young, this Uncle Ping would bring back a lot of candies for the younger generation every time he went back. Of course, Du Xiaofu would get his share as well, even more than the others. There is, but the things you want are not few. Some of them are items that are rarely used. I need some time to prepare them. When I'm done, I'll help you send them back. How about it? Du Ping looked at Du Xiaofu with a puzzled expression. He had naturally heard about the things that happened in the family in the past 2 months. Now, the things that Du Xiaofu wanted were things that only soul symbol masters could use. Moreover, the things that Du Xiaofu had just sent over were not ordinary and were worth a lot. It seemed that the rumors in the family were true. The youth in front of him was only pretending to be a fool for the past 10 years. Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "All right. I've made a rough calculation. The things you send over are not cheap. They are worth a total of 21,000 cultivation coins. This is also the highest price in the market. However, I'll give you the things you want at cost price. It will cost 15,000 cultivation coins. The remaining 6,000 cultivation coins are all in here." Du Ping handed over an extremely exquisite card to Du Xiaofu. There were runes engraved on it. He said, "This is a cultivation coin card. It can be exchanged at many places." "Thank you, Uncle Ping." Du Xiaofu did not act polite. His family shop naturally would not cheat him. If it was not for the fact that it was his family shop, he was afraid that the things he sold would not be able to cover the price of the things he bought. One must know that the profits from selling elixirs were enormous. "When we return, let me greet your father," Du Ping said with a smile. "I will." Du Xiaofu nodded. He put away the cultivation coin card and left the Du family shop. Chapter 52. In the morning, the streets of Stone City were bustling with even more people. "Miss Yi Zijin is here." The crowd was in an uproar, and all the gazes on the street immediately turned to the front. There were a dozen young men and women, and all of them were clustered around a young girl. The young lady's footsteps were light and graceful. Her eyes were misty as she pointed at the flowers that filled the city. She was charming and graceful. Her skin was like jade, and she emitted the fragrance of a young lady. Along the way, she caused the gazes of the young men beside her to become dazed. There were a few young ladies who were originally extremely beautiful in the surroundings. However, they were immediately overshadowed when compared to her. Beside the young girl, a well-dressed young man followed closely, politely talking to her from time to time. "Yi Zijin." Du Xiaofu frowned. He did not expect to meet her, and immediately turned to leave. Xiaofu. However, it was already too late for Du Xiaofu to leave. Yi Zijin had already seen Du Xiaofu. Her graceful figure immediately stepped forward, and the smile on her face attracted everyone's attention. Then, she arrived in front of Du Xiaofu. "Miss Yi." Looking at the face in front of him, Du Xiaofu could only sigh in his heart. It was not difficult to see that as long as she was a little more mature, she would be as beautiful as a celestial. The corners of Yi Zijin's delicate mouth slightly rose, and her red lips slightly opened, tempting others to kiss her. She said to Du Xiaofu, "Xiaofu, just call me by my name, Zijin. Otherwise, it will make us seem distant." "This." Du Xiaofu frowned. "What are you looking down on me?" Yi Zijin looked at Du Xiaofu, revealing a smile that could make the surrounding people jealous. She gently opened her mouth and said, then it settled, "You are not allowed to be polite to me in the future. Also, you were not free yesterday. Since we met today, you can accompany me for a stroll." "Little sister Zijin, who is this?" "Big sister Zijin, where did this handsome man come from?" A few similarly extraordinary young girls walked up, their bright eyes curiously landing on Du Xiaofu's body. The slightly thin figure under the purple robe was extremely tall and straight, coupled with his resolute and determined face. He indeed had an irresistible charm for many young girls. Let me introduce everyone. This is the young master of the Du family, Du Xiaofu. He saved my life in the barbaric Beast Mountain Range and can be considered my savior, Yi Zijin said happily. She was not sure if it was intentional or not, but she stood next to Du Xiaofu as if she wanted to tell the other young girls that he was hers and that he had nothing to do with them. Du Xiaofu from the Du family. Upon hearing this, many people's gazes darkened. The name Du Xiaofu was definitely not unfamiliar to the entire Stone City. Especially during this period of time, the news of the city lord personally coming to the Du family to thank Du Xiaofu stirred up quite a bit of commotion in the Stone City. So he is Du Xiaofu from the Du family. Is that the legendary foolish young master of the Du family? Which part of him looks like a fool? Upon hearing this, the onlookers on both sides of the street immediately turned their gazes towards Du Xiaofu, a famous person who they had only heard of before. Their gazes were filled with curiosity. So you are the foolish young master of the Du family. A voice rang out, and several youths surrounded the well-dressed young man as they walked over. The well-dressed young man looked to be around 18 or 19 years old, and he seemed to be slightly more muscular than Du Xiaofu. He was about the same height, and his face was rather handsome. However, when he looked at Du Xiaofu, there was not much kindness in his eyes, only mockery and ridicule. Then he looked towards Yi Zijin and said with a smile, "Little sister Zijin, your status is noble. Don't let some people affect your noble status." Hearing this, Yi Zijin's face became slightly more beautiful. She looked at the young man before her and gently said, "Qi Hu, Xiaofu is my savior. You should watch your words." "Is that so? Did this fool really save you before?" Qi Hu glanced at Du Xiaofu, feeling somewhat embarrassed. He did not expect that Yi Zijin would actually speak up for Du Xiaofu and treat him so coldly. Therefore, his gaze towards Du Xiaofu grew even darker. "Whether I have saved anyone or not, whether I am a fool or not is not important. What is important is that you must not have looked at the almanac when you went out today." Just as Qi Hu's mocking voice sounded, Du Xiaofu's clear gaze also landed on Qi Hu's body. His calm words caused one to feel uneasy in their hearts. "Du Xiaofu, what do you mean by this?" Qi Hu's expression turned cold before he looked at Du Xiaofu and laughed out loud. "Haha, do you need to look at the almanac when you go out? You really are a fool. Because if you had looked at the almanac, you would definitely not have gone out today. Today, I will clash with you, so there will definitely be a bloody calamity." Du Xiaofu looked at Qi Hu, his expression still as calm as ever. "Kid, you dare to curse me." Qi Hu's face instantly darkened. So this Du Xiaofu was actually cursing him. "I am not cursing you, because you really will have a bloody calamity today." As his voice fell, a fierce look appeared in Du Xiaofu's originally calm eyes on his resolute face. An invisible qi spread out from his gaze in a split second, causing the surrounding space to seem to freeze. Bang! There was a deep sonic boom in the air. Du Xiaofu's fist instantly appeared in front of you, who after pressuring the air with it. "You dare to attack me? You are courting death." Qi Hu's expression changed greatly, and then a sneer appeared on his face. He was also one of the best of the younger generation of the Qi clan, and had just stepped into the Xiantian stage not long ago. A glowing mist surged out from his body, wrapping around his body like a whirlpool. Surprisingly, he did not dodge. Just as Du Xiaofu's fist was about to land in front of him, he suddenly turned sideways, and his feet flashed 3 times, dodging Du Xiaofu's fist as fast as lightning. What a beautiful 3 revolving steps. I didn't expect Qi Hu to have practiced the Qi clan's 3 revolving steps to such an exquisite level. No wonder he is one of the best of the younger generation of the Qi clan. I didn't expect Qi Hu to have already stepped into the Xiantian stage. I'm afraid there are very few people in the younger generation who can match him. As Du Xiaofu and Qi Hu made their moves, all the onlookers fixed their eyes on the arena. One was the famous fool of the Du clan, while the other was one of the best of the younger generation of the Qi clan. The moment Qi, who dodged the fist, a sneer appeared on his face. He was just a fool. Even if he was not a fool now, how strong could he be? He had already stepped into the Xiantian stage, and there were very few people in the younger generation who could be his match. Storm Fist, you, who let out a low and cold growl. Instantly he clenched his fist and bent his elbow. Profound qi rapidly condensed on his fist, and in the end, he fiercely smashed it towards Du Xiaofu's chest. The profound qi on his fist contained a strong wind that shook the air, and an invisible force whistled, blowing the dust on the street into a small storm. Qi-la! Under everyone's astonished gazes, Qi, whose storm fist was clearly about to land on Du Xiaofu's body, but for some reason, it deviated a little, narrowly brushing past Du Xiaofu's body. Bang! A low and deep sonic boom rang out. It was so fast that before anyone could see it clearly, Qi, whose body had already been sent flying. He landed heavily on the street more than 10 meters away, causing the entire ground to tremble. Fast as lightning, clean and efficient, and extremely powerful. Uft! Qi, who spat out a mouthful of blood. He struggled to stand up, but failed several times. He raised his head to look at Du Xiaofu, his face filled with shock, and his eyes filled with fear. I told you that you would meet a bloody disaster today. I didn't lie to you. After Du Xiaofu finished speaking to Qi Hu, he looked at Yi Zijin and said, Miss Yi, I don't think you're in the mood to stroll around today, so I'll take my leave first. With that, Du Xiaofu swaggered off. Yi Zijin looked at the tall and straight figure, her eyes flickering, but she did not say anything else. Looking at Du Xiaofu's back as he left, the onlookers on the streets were still in a daze. However, everyone knew that the rumored foolish young master of the Du family was definitely not a fool. On the contrary, in the entire younger generation of the Stone City, there were not many people who could compare to him. Brother Hu, how are you? Several youths regained their senses and hurriedly ran over to help Qi Hu up. Qi Hu's face was deathly pale. He originally thought that the rumored fool would not be a match for him, who was now in the Xiantian stage, but he did not expect that the result would be such an embarrassing and miserable defeat. Du Xiaofu, I'll definitely make you pay for this with interest. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, the fear in Qi Hu's eyes slowly dissipated, but it was replaced by a venomous look. There will be more chapters later. Xiao Yu continues to write. Chapter 53. In the afternoon, rumbling noises continued to be heard from the back mountain of the Du residence. It only stopped when night fell. The back mountain of the Du family was continuous, and usually no one would go to the depths of the back mountain. Therefore, Du Xiaofu was at ease to practice his body transformation technique in the back mountain. Besides, there was also the king-scaled demon tiger. Once someone approached, they would be immediately discovered. After nightfall, Du Xiaofu continued to sit cross-legged in the back mountain and practiced. Night shrouded the Stone City. In a group of magnificent buildings not inferior to the Du family, in the depths of a courtyard, several figures were standing in a room. Among them was a pale and ashen-faced teenager. He was the one who was taught a lesson by Du Xiaofu during the day, Qi Hu. Qi, who was defeated in 2 moves. After enduring for 10 years, it seems that this time the Du family has a strong opponent. A young man who looked somewhat similar to Qi, who but was 1 or 2 years older than him, opened his mouth and said softly with a faint smile on his face, Big brother, you must avenge me. Qi, whose face was full of grievance and anger. He would never let Du Xiaofu go. Qi Long looked at Qi Hu and sighed. Second brother, next time stay away from Yi Zijin. She is not suitable for you. Big brother, what do you mean? Not suitable for me? Are you saying that she is suitable for you? Qi Hu looked at Qi Long with displeasure. Second brother, your injuries today are proof that Yi Zijin is not someone you can subdue. Qi Long's expression did not change much. The corners of his mouth curved slightly. Looking at the empty moonlight outside, he said softly, "That woman is not simple. This is a test." "What test?" Chi, who asked doubtfully. "Nothing. You just stay at home and heal," Chi Long said. "Then what about Du Xiaofu? Are we just going to let him go? Is our Chi family afraid of him?" Chi, who said angrily, "He absolutely could not let Du Xiaofu go." He said to a burly middle-aged man behind Chi Long, "Father, say something. Am I going to be beaten up for nothing?" The tall and sturdy middle-aged man was none other than the current patriarch of the Ran clan, Ran Qingsong. He looked at Ranchua and asked, "Long, what do you think?" Hearing this, Zhuolong said, "Father, that Du Xiaofu seems to be a few years younger than second brother. If we go to the Du family, I'm afraid it will be detrimental to our Zhuo family's reputation. If word gets out, it's inevitable that people will say that our Zhuo family can't beat the Du family and that we're going to look for trouble after losing. So you're saying that we should just let it go?" Yun Qingsong's expression didn't change much. "No." Zhuolong smiled faintly. "We're going to the Du family, and we're going to the Du family in a lively manner. We have to put on a show, lest some people pay special attention to our Zhuo family. Besides, I also want to meet Du Xiaofu. I want to know what kind of person he is, to be able to endure for 10 years. Good. Let's go to the Du family and teach that Du Xiaofu a lesson." Ma Yinghu sneered. "Who? Go and treat your injuries. You're not allowed to leave the house for half a year." Yun Qingsong looked at Ma Yinghu and said in a deep voice, "Yes, father." Ma Yinghu didn't dare to say anything else. He seemed to be extremely afraid of his father and could only resentfully drag his heavily injured body away. Sigh. Gazing at Ma Yinghu's back, Yun Qingsong sighed softly and said, "Disappointing, disappointing. He was used by someone, and he didn't even know it." Zhuolong smiled at Yun Qingsong and said, "Father, second brother is still immature. Besides, that girl Yi Zijin is indeed not ordinary. Second brother did not suffer unjustly this time. It will be beneficial for him in the future." Yun Qingsong's gaze fell on Zhuolong and said, "If you can subdue that girl, things will be much simpler in the future." "I will do my best." Zhuolong smiled. "Some things should be over soon. Shur City has been peaceful for too long," Yun Qingsong said, gazing at the moonlight outside the door. Zhuolong softly muttered, "A storm is brewing. The sky is about to change. Isn't the Yi family already unable to endure it?" The next morning, the faint golden light around Du Xiaofu's body receded. He exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and stopped his breathing and cultivation. The Golden Rock's body refinement method is truly mysterious. Its cultivation method is also extremely powerful. Feeling the profound energy in his body becoming more and more abundant and his body becoming more and more powerful, Du Xiaofu's face revealed a smile. After tidying up, he left the back of the mountain. "Young Master Xiaofu, it's not good. Many people from the Ma family have come looking for you aggressively. The patriarch wants you to go over." Just as Du Xiaofu returned to the backyard, the new steward of the backyard hurriedly ran over, panting and looking nervous. The Ma family. Du Xiaofu's expression was extremely calm. He said, "You can leave first. I will be there in a moment." The king-scaled demonic tiger rubbed against Du Xiaofu's robe. When it heard that there were people looking for trouble, it seemed to want to go as well to Du Xiaofu. "You don't have to join in the fun," Du Xiaofu said to the king-scaled demonic tiger. Roar, roar. The king-scaled demonic tiger let out 2 deep roars. It seemed to be protesting against Du Xiaofu for looking down on it. Unfortunately, Du Xiaofu ignored the king-scaled demonic tiger. He turned and entered the courtyard, not immediately going to the front hall. After Du Xiaofu took a bath and tidied up his clothes, he went to the front hall and saw the Sea Clan's people. There were quite a few of them, and all of them were very aggressive. Their auras were also not weak. Each and every one of them was red in the face and ears. It seemed like they had some dispute with the Du clan's people. Greetings, first uncle and second uncle. Du Xiaofu went forward and bowed to Du Jinwu and Du Jixiong. His eyes swept across the Ma family and paid more attention to a burly middle-aged man and a thin young man sitting at the head of the table. Xiaofu, sit down first. Someone said that you injured Ma Hu yesterday. Is this true? Du Jinwu gestured for Du Xiaofu to sit down and asked. Du Xiaofu nodded and sat next to second uncle Du Jixiong. He nodded and said, Yesterday I taught a lesson to someone called Ma Hu. That person scolded me, so I beat him up. Du Jinwu, you heard it right. This is the person who injured my son. You have to give me an explanation today. Ma Qingsong angrily glared at Du Jinwu with an unrelenting expression. Ma Qingsong, you heard it too. Who told your son to scold my nephew? He deserved to be beaten up. Du Jixiong stepped forward bravely and glared at Ma Qingsong. My son can't beat him, so I'll step in. Your Ma family is really protective of their children. Du Jixiong, what do you mean? A Ma family elder gloomily glared at Du Jixiong and shouted, I mean what I said. If you don't accept it, then the Ma family can start a war with my Du family. Du Jixiong slammed the table and stood up. His xian qi surged, and he didn't hold back at all. His nephew naturally couldn't be bullied. Let's start a war then. My Ma family isn't afraid. Many experts of the Ma family said angrily, Let's start a war then. How dare you bully us at our door? Do you think my Du family is easy to bully? The experts of the Du family in the hall were also furious. They didn't back down in the face of the Ma family. The reason why the Du family could rise in Stone City in such a short period of time was because of the unity of all the clansmen. They didn't hesitate in the face of external enemies. Du Xiaofu looked at his second uncle, who slammed the table and stood up, and his heart was once again filled with warmth. As for the experts of the Du family, many of them were against him yesterday, but today they were united in the face of external enemies. This made Du Xiaofu's expression change slightly. Finally, his gaze fell on the people of the Ma family. Ma Qingsong glared at Du Jinwu and said, Du Jinwu, does your Du family not want to give me an explanation today? Explanation? Your Ma family came to my Du family in such an aggressive manner. This is clearly not putting my Du family in your eyes. If your Ma family wants to find an excuse to start a war, my Du family will accompany you. Du Jinwu sat upright and shook his long sleeve, not backing down an inch. Good Du family. Let's wait and see. Ma Qingsong slammed the table and stood up. He said to the people of the Ma family behind him, Let's go. I won't see you out. Du Jinwu leaned against the back of the chair without any trace of politeness. I'm Ma Hu's brother, called Ma Long. You're Du Xiaofu? Ma Long stood up and stood in front of Du Xiaofu. In the noisy hall, everyone's gaze fell on Ma Long and Du Xiaofu. What's wrong? Your brother can't win, so you want to fight as a family? Du Xiaofu raised his eyes and looked at Ma Long. Ma Long smiled at Du Xiaofu and said, I heard that you've been an idiot for 10 years. It seems that the rumors aren't reliable. My second brother is disappointing. If he loses, then so be it. It's good that he's been taught a lesson. There's still plenty of time in the future. Don't you think so? Ma Long's words implied that he was secretly calling Du Xiaofu an idiot. Indeed, rumors stop with the wise. Du Xiaofu's gaze was indifferent, but his words were sharp. Everyone naturally understood that Du Xiaofu's words meant that whoever believed that he was an idiot was an idiot. Smart people naturally wouldn't believe it. Ma Long looked at Du Xiaofu, and his expression changed slightly. He smiled and said, I heard that you have a good relationship with Yi Zijin of the Yi family, but it seems that Ma Hu and Miss Yi have a better relationship. Don't you know that as his brother? Du Xiaofu said softly. Haha. Ma Long smiled and looked at Du Xiaofu. He said, It won't be long before the Wu family of Stone City holds a grand meeting. The younger generation will all participate. I hope to see you at that time. I won't necessarily go. Du Xiaofu said. Goodbye. Ma Long smiled and turned to leave. The group of Ma family members also turned and left with hatred. This Ma family is really shameless. Watching the Ma family members leave, the Du family experts in the hall cursed. Xiaofu, come with me to the study. Du Jinwu stood up and looked at Du Xiaofu. His expression didn't change much, and then he turned and entered the inner hall. Go, don't worry about the Ma family. Our Du family is not afraid of them. Du Jixiong patted Du Xiaofu's shoulder and said with a smile, I heard that you defeated the Xiantian stage Ma who in 2 moves. You've brought glory to our Du family. Good job. Second uncle, I don't have that kind of strength. It was Ma who wanted to frame me and made me fall. Du Xiaofu wouldn't admit it. Yesterday, he had said in front of the Du family that he couldn't defeat Du Hao's Xiantian stage cousin, so he couldn't admit it no matter what. After saying this, he hurriedly followed his uncle into the inner hall. Chapter 54. Yeah, that's not right. There's something fishy going on here. Is Du Xiaofu really that strong? I heard that Yuan Shihu has reached the Xiantian stage. Could it be that Du Xiaofu has already? Many of the Du family members heard this and immediately reacted. Then, many of them looked stunned. Defeating Yuan Shihu in 2 moves was definitely not something an ordinary Xiantian stage cultivator could do. In the study, Du Jinwu sat upright and looked at Du Xiaofu, who had just walked in. He gestured for him to sit aside and said, Xiaofu, regarding yesterday's matter, I want to ask your opinion. That Yuan Shihu scolded me, so I beat him up. That's all. Du Xiaofu replied. In front of his uncle, he was much more well-behaved. So what if Yuan Shihu beat him up? It's no big deal. Our Du family isn't afraid of the Yuan family. We won't bully others, but we definitely won't lose out either. Don't you agree? Du Jinwu rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. He felt that in these 10 years he really didn't understand this nephew of his. Yes, uncle is right. I definitely won't let others bully me in the future. Du Xiaofu smiled. All right, there are no outsiders here. Tell me about yesterday's matter. Du Jinwu glared at Du Xiaofu, his expression turning serious. Actually, I don't know what happened, but I feel that the Yi family came yesterday, and the Yuan family came today. Things are a little strange. Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment, then said to Du Jinwu. Du Jinwu's eyes revealed a look of surprise, and he said to Du Xiaofu, Tell me, how is it strange? The Yi family was too friendly. Although that Yi Zijin is young, she's obviously a cold and arrogant girl, but she was overly friendly to me. On the other hand, the Si family was too pretentious. They said that they were here to cause trouble, but in the end, they left after making a few noises. It was obvious that they weren't really here to cause trouble. Also, that Chua Long shouldn't be simple. Even if the other members of the Chua clan didn't think of it, I believe that Chua Long must have known. Although I injured Chua, we are still juniors. The Chua clan came looking for trouble in such a grandiose manner, but they still came. Even if they came, it was just for show. Du Xiaofu paused for a moment. His eyes flickered as he looked at Du Jinwu and said, There must be something wrong when things are out of the ordinary. Therefore, these things don't seem normal. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Du Jinwu's eyes flickered. Suppressing the astonishment in his heart, he continued to ask Du Xiaofu, Good boy, it seems that I have indeed underestimated you. Tell me, why did you fight yesterday? Was it just because Qi who scolded you? Du Xiaofu smiled and said, That girl from the Yi clan was too enthusiastic about me. I didn't want to disappoint her enthusiasm. So I decided to be a little more high profile. That girl is not simple at such a young age. Du Jinwu said softly. Then he looked at Du Xiaofu and said softly, Things are indeed not simple. The Stone City has been peaceful for so long. I'm afraid that it is about to change. The Yi clan is already the first to lose control. Do you want to know why? I'm a little curious. Although Du Xiaofu was a little confused, he was also quite curious. Du Jinwu continued to ask Du Xiaofu, The Stone City is on the edge of the Barbarian Beast mountain range. There are many demonic beasts in the barbarian beast mountain range, and there are many kings among them. However, no demonic beast experts have ever invaded the Stone City. Even in the previous beast tide, no demonic beast entered the Stone City. Do you know why? Du Xiaofu shook his head. During the two beast tides a while ago, the ground shook and everything was destroyed. However, there really weren't any demonic beasts that entered the Stone City, because the Stone City has a demonic beast guarding it. Du Jinwu said. When he mentioned the demonic beast, his eyes changed. A demonic beast guarding the Stone City? Du Xiaofu also heard about this for the first time. In these years, the kings of the demonic beasts in the barbarian beast mountain range did not dare to set foot in the Stone City. The forces outside the Stone City that wanted to touch the Stone City did not dare to act rashly. Everything is because of the demonic beast guarding the Stone City. It is a thunder lion that is rumored to have reached the level of a beast lord. At the mention of the thunder demonic lion that guarded the Stone City, Du Jinwu's eyes also rippled with yearning. The level of a beast marquis was equivalent to the level of a human martial marquis. That level, to him, was also an existence that was unattainable. The level of a beast lord. Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly lit up. The level of a beast lord was even higher than the level of a spiritual pulse. A demonic beast that was even stronger than a king-scaled demonic tiger was extremely powerful. There is actually such a terrifying existence in the Stone City. It is said that a few hundred years ago, an ancestor of the Yi clan accidentally saved an injured Thunder Lion. From then on, the Thunder Lion stayed in the Yi clan and stayed in the Stone City. It also intimidated the demonic beasts at the edge of the barbarian beast mountain range. For many generations, the Yi clan has been sitting in the Stone City and became the city lord. Du Jinwu said, I see. Du Xiaofu roughly understood. With such a strong demonic beast in the Yi clan, how could the other clans resist? Du Jinwu sighed and said, It is a pity that the Thunder Lion is already old and has not been able to improve in terms of cultivation. Its lifespan is nearing its end, and it seems that it has not recovered from its injuries. This is also the reason why it has been staying in the Yi clan. Now that it is old and weak, in addition to its injuries, its aura is declining day by day. There is news that the Thunder Lion may die soon. There will be a day when the marquis-level beasts reach the end of their lifespan. Du Xiaofu sighed in his heart. There will be a day when the marquis-level beasts reach the end of their lifespan. The lifespan of humans is shorter than that of demonic beasts. Comparing a marquis-level cultivator to a marquis-level cultivator, the marquis-level cultivator would definitely have a longer lifespan. If you want to go against the heavens and seize life, you have to continuously break through the shackles. Unfortunately, on the path of cultivation, every breakthrough is extremely difficult. The higher the level, the harder it is to reach the heavens. For a demonic beast at the beast marquis level, especially a demonic beast like the lightning demonic lion, the bones within its body are priceless treasures. Its essence blood is also priceless treasures. Once it dies, it will be enough to change the weather in the Stone City. Over the years, countless gazes have been fixed on the Yi family and the lightning demonic lion. Du Jinwu's eyes trembled. For existences at the level of beast marquis, their bones and blood essence were enough to cause people to go crazy over them. All these years, those clans had been preparing and waiting. If anyone could obtain the treasures left behind by the Thunder Lion King, the benefits would be unimaginable. Once the Thunder Lion dies, I'm afraid the Yi clan will not be able to hold on. The Tai clan, the Bai clan, the Qin clan, and the other clans will definitely not let go of such an opportunity. Du Xiaofu was shocked. Thinking back to the battle between the Purple Flame Demonic Phoenix and the Golden Rock, the Sky Snake sect, the mysterious Underworld sect, and the mysterious Talisman sect all participated in the battle. This time, if the Thunder Lion died, how could the other clans in the Stone City let go of such an opportunity? The Yi clan would definitely not be able to take all the benefits for themselves. That's right, the Yi clan also knows that once something happens to the Thunder Lion, the Yi clan will not be able to hold on to the benefits left behind by the Thunder Lion. Therefore, the Yi clan is probing to see who exactly wants to fight for it. Du Jinwu said. Du Xiaofu frowned and said, I understand now. No wonder the Yi clan is so friendly towards me. They want to pull the Du clan to their side and then find out who wants to deal with the Yi clan the most. The Yi clan has already started to make arrangements. Du Jinwu looked at Du Xiaofu, his eyes filled with shock again, and said, That's right, the Yi clan has already started to make arrangements. Last time, when Yi Baolin came, he had already secretly sent a message to me, saying that he wants to join hands with the Du clan. When the time comes, he will not forget about the benefits of the Thunder Lion. Uncle agreed? Du Xiaofu raised his head and asked, Can we not agree? Du Jinwu's mouth curved into a bitter smile. The Yi clan's methods are indeed brilliant. Du Xiaofu knew that the Du clan had no choice but to agree. If the Du clan did not agree, it would be the same as telling the Yi clan that the Du clan also wanted to deal with the Yi clan. But now that the Du clan and the Yi clan were so close, the other three clans would definitely be wary of the Du clan. 1 month from now, the younger generation of the 5 great clans will compete. At that time, the situation might change, and my Du clan will probably be unable to stay out of it. We've already been dragged into this vortex. Du Jinwu sighed, and his face was filled with worry. Uncle, what does this have to do with the competition between the younger generation of the 5 clans? Du Xiaofu did not quite understand. The Yi clan has been sitting in the Stone City for many generations, but outside the Stone City, there are many forces that have always wanted to touch the Stone City. Therefore, the Yi clan cannot fight alone. Although we have the Thunder Lion, the other clans will naturally have complaints. Du Jinwu explained, Therefore, since a long time ago, the Yi clan has arranged for the competition between the younger generation of the various clans once every few years. The strongest one will be able to enter the lightning pool to cultivate. At that time, only the 4 great clans participated, and my Du clan only had the qualifications to participate more than 10 years ago. With regards to this, Du Xiaofu was not unfamiliar. It was said that although the Du clan had always been in the Stone City, their official rise began more than 10 years ago, and they had not been in the 5 great clans for long. As for the lightning pool, he had never heard of it before. Curiously, he asked, What is the lightning pool? Du Jinwu said, The lightning pool is owned by the Yi clan. It is said that it can only be opened once every few years. There is a small amount of the Thunder Lion's blood essence inside. Cultivating in the lightning pool will allow you to obtain lightning to forge your body, which is very beneficial to your cultivation. If you can cultivate in the lightning pool, your future will be limitless. In the past few years, every time the younger generation of the major clans competed against each other, the winner would always be the Yi clan. Hence, the Yi clan's strength has always been stronger than the other clans. It's a pity that our Du clan hasn't risen for a long time, so no one from our Du clan has entered the lightning pool yet. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. Lightning body refinement. He had practiced the cultivation method of the golden rock. If he added this lightning body refinement, would the effects be even better? Maybe there would be other benefits. After all, the Lightning Lion was a terrifying existence at the level of a beast lord. Chapter 55. Du Jinwu paused for a moment, then continued. The Yi family opening up the Thunder Pool is partly to appease the dissatisfaction of the other families by handing over some of the benefits brought by the Thunder Lions, and also to intimidate the other families. In the past few years, the younger generation of the Du family has always won. To the other families, this is a form of intimidation, causing the other families to not dare to act rashly. 1 month later, when the younger generation of the 5 families compete, you have to find a way to enter the Thunder Pool. I still have injuries on my body. I'm afraid it will be difficult to win. Du Xiaofu said. Stop talking nonsense. You are much more cunning than your father. I really don't know how our third brother could have such a cunning son. Don't think I don't know that Du Hao's cousin, that imperial knight, was clearly injured by you and couldn't bring himself to leave the Du family overnight. Do you really think I don't know? Du Jinwu glared at Du Xiaofu. The difference between this little brat and their third brother's one-track mind was too great. He, Du Xiaofu, smiled apologetically. It looked like his eldest uncle already knew. As a family, there was naturally no need to keep up the pretense. Be serious. Don't think I don't know what you are planning. Du Jinwu rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu and said, some of the elders in the clan aren't stupid. I've discussed it with the elders in the clan. So long as you participate in the competition between the younger generation of the 5 great clans and win, then the violet Qiyang scripture will be given to you to cultivate. That's it. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed. If he had been able to obtain the purple Qi Chaiyang scripture back then, it would naturally have been a joyous occasion. But now that he had already practiced the cultivation method of the golden rock, Du Xiaofu naturally did not have any expectations for the purple Qi Chaiyang scripture. What else do you want? Last time, you snatched the blood essence of the violent stone demon wolf and the foundation establishment pill from Du Hao. Isn't that enough? Du Jinwu rolled his eyes again at Du Xiaofu. Fine, I will try my best. Du Xiaofu helplessly nodded. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to obtain any other benefits. Although he didn't have any expectations for the purple Qi Chaiyang scripture, he still had to take a look at the thunder pool. Combined with his own body transformation method, he might be able to take another step forward. Are these spiritual herbs and materials that can only be used by talisman masters what you want? Du Xiaofu took out a large wooden box from the study room and opened the lid. Inside the box were elixirs and some materials that only spirit talisman masters could use. They were very expensive and not something that ordinary people could afford. Moreover, these were all materials that only spirit talisman masters could use. He looked at Du Xiaofu doubtfully and said, "This was sent by Du Ping early in the morning. He said that you bought these materials? That's what I want. I want to try and see if I can become a talisman master." Du Xiaofu nodded his head. He had already expected that the Du family would find out about his purchase of elixirs from the Du family store. Hence, there was nothing to hide. You want to become a talisman master? Du Jinwu looked at Du Xiaofu in surprise. He had already asked someone to check Du Xiaofu's spiritual roots. It was impossible for him to become a talisman master. I just want to try. It doesn't matter if I succeed or not. Du Xiaofu said. Du Jinwu looked at Du Xiaofu. After a long time, his expression gradually eased, and he said softly, "If you really want to try, our Du family store has also invited a talisman master to refine elixirs. Although he is only a 2-star talisman master, I believe that if I go and talk to him, he will be able to give you a few pointers. A talisman master is not something that can be achieved by immersing yourself in exploration." "Thank you, uncle, but I don't need it for the time being. I will try it myself first." Du Xiaofu knew that there was a 2-star talisman master in the Du family store. Previously, the talisman master had treated his illness. Although he was only a 2-star talisman master, which was equivalent to a warrior of the Xiantian level because of the special characteristics of a talisman master, even his uncle had to be polite to him. It was said that his status in the Du family was extremely high. However, according to Zhen Qingchuan's words, if a 5-star talisman master was not a fart in front of him, then a 2-star talisman master was not even worth mentioning. Therefore, Du Xiaofu planned to see if Zhen Qingchuan had tricked him or not. "All right, you can decide for yourself. However, in a month's time, there will be a competition between the younger generation of the 5 great clans. Don't delay it. This time, I'm afraid that Du Hao and Du Yan won't be able to gain any advantage. Your brother and sister missed the competition between the 5 great clans 3 years ago and have been away all this time. Therefore, this time, we can only rely on you," Du Jinwu said seriously. He did not say anything more about the talisman master. At that time, Du Jinwu had abandoned his martial vein, but now he could practice. Perhaps there would be some miracles in the Talisman Master realm now. If a Talisman Master really appeared in the Du family, it would be a great benefit for the whole Du family. Therefore, there were some things that he did not need to ask too much. Everyone had some secrets. It was normal for the third brother's son to have some secrets. I will do my best. Du Xiaofu was grateful to his uncle. He knew that his uncle was good to him. The brother and sister mentioned by his uncle were his eldest uncle's daughter and second uncle's son. The two of them had been wandering outside since they were very young. Du Xiaofu had not seen them for a long time. He still remembered that when he was young, his eldest sister and second brother would often protect him. After chatting with his uncle for a while, Du Xiaofu picked up the wooden box and left. When he walked to the door of the study, Du Jinwu called out to Du Xiaofu and said, "Xiaofu, this time in the other families, it is said that there are also extraordinary juniors. Several of them have stepped into the Xiantian stage. What level have you reached? Can you tell me so that I can know?" Du Xiaofu turned his head, smiled, and said, "Thunderpool, I will definitely go." As his voice faded, Du Xiaofu strode out of the study. The thunder pool was extremely beneficial for body cultivation. Naturally, he would not miss such an opportunity. This kid, what level has he reached? His words are so domineering. I can't see through him. Du Jinwu was puzzled. He had always wanted to pry into Du Xiaofu's cultivation level, but strangely he could not pry into it. It was as if there was no way to pry into it. "Father, you're back." Du Xiaofu carried the wooden box back to the courtyard. It was rare to see his unkempt, drunkard father at home. However, he was still hugging a wine jug and lying on the rattan chair. Du Tingxian only responded softly. He continued hugging the wine jug and leaning on the rattan chair, staring blankly into the sky. Du Xiaofu entered his room and put down the wooden box. From his chinkuan bag, he took out a newly bought wine jug and a few sets of clothes. He once again stood in front of his father and said, "Father, your wine jug must have been used for a long time. This is the new wine jug and a few sets of clothes I bought for you. When you have time, take a bath." Du Tingxian only responded softly. His gaze, still staring blankly into the sky, did not move. "Leave them here. I'm going out for a while. Don't drink too much wine." Du Xiaofu placed the newly bought sets of clothes beside the rattan chair. He looked at his father's face, which was half covered by his messy long hair, and then left the courtyard. After a long time, Du Tingxian moved. He picked up the clothes and wine jug on the side of the rattan chair and looked into the distance, his eyes rippling a little. Rumble. In the depths of the mountain behind the Du residence, another rumbling sound came. Du Xiaofu once again immersed himself in cultivation. At night, Du Xiaofu finally stopped. He sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. The king-scaled demon tiger had been watching from nearby without blinking. Night, the bright moon hung in the sky. What do you think about Du Xiaofu from the Du family? In front of the courtyard, Qiu Qingsong looked at his son and asked. Chualong raised his head to look at the bright moon circling in the sky. His robe fluttered as he stood with his hands behind his back. He replied, "Father, don't you already have an opinion? Why are you still asking me?" Qiu Qingsong faintly smiled and said that Du Xiaofu is not simple at such a young age. Chua, whose failure was not unjustified. He is indeed not simple. His strength is also not simple. His cultivation is unfathomable. The Bai and Qin families should be preparing as well. Looks like I should also go into seclusion this month. Otherwise, I really don't have much confidence. Chualong lowered his head and smiled, but before that I should think of a way to let the Bai and Qin families out. I can't just let them keep an eye on my Chua family. Only by encountering a strong opponent can you continuously improve. This is a good thing for you. Qiu Qingsong gazed in the direction of the Yi family in the Stone City. His eyes suddenly flashed as he said, "If I can obtain the huge treasure, then my future will truly be limitless. For the Chua family, for all of you, I will do my best. Chapter 56. Early in the morning dew touched his eyelashes, the fragrance of the forest, and the dark blue mountain range in the distance. A few broken stars began to dim and disappear in the vast sky, finally disappearing. Phew! Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of turbid air from his abdomen, opened his eyes, and slightly stretched his body. The joints all over his body crackled as if they contained an endless amount of power that was about to erupt. I wonder when I will be able to complete the first level of the golden feather refinement. Every time he felt the changes and improvements in his body after practicing the body refinement technique, Du Xiaofu was extremely satisfied. A miracle, you are a miracle. Practicing the golden winged rocks cultivation technique. How did you do it? It's an absolute miracle, inconceivable. Zhen Qingchuan's voice rang out, and the small pagoda automatically jumped out from Du Xiaofu's bosom. The energy within the pagoda fluctuated, and a wretched face appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Its gaze was as if it had discovered a new continent, and its face was filled with disbelief. Didn't you say you needed 3 days to recover? How did you recover in 2 days? Du Xiaofu looked at Zhen Qingchen and asked with some doubt. The Xian Qi in your body is very pure and much better than I imagined. The effect is also excellent, so it was brought forward by a day. Zhen Qingchuan's gaze was still in shock, as if he wanted to see through Du Xiaofu. He said, You really have a lot of secrets on your body. Practicing the golden winged rocks cultivation technique. How did you do it? I'm afraid that the golden winged rock clan will not let you go if they find out that a human has practiced their cultivation technique. Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Zhen Qingchen and then said, You should worry about yourself. If you can't make me a spirit talisman master, then I guarantee that you won't just be suppressed by a boy's urine every day. Kid, you better be a little more respectful to me. You still have a favor to ask of me. Zhen Qingchen glanced at Du Xiaofu. His old-fashioned look was completely out of place with his 10-year-old appearance. Zhen Qingchen couldn't help but laugh. Don't forget, you also have a favor to ask of me, Du Xiaofu said calmly. You. Zhen Qingchen held back his anger, rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu, and said bitterly, Now I will teach you how to become a talisman master. Although you have some talent, whether you can become a talisman master or not depends on whether you have the luck. Anyway, if I can't become a talisman master, you will also be unlucky, Du Xiaofu said lightly. He didn't want to be led by the nose by Zhen Qingchen. You, Zhen Qingchen wanted to curse. This brat was simply impossible to deal with. He glanced at Du Xiaofu and said, Have you prepared the things I asked you to prepare? I've prepared them. Do you need them now? Du Xiaofu nodded. You don't need them now. The things I asked you to prepare are for the promotion of your spiritual roots. Before promoting your spiritual roots, I have to formally determine whether you can become a talisman master or not, Zhen Qingchen said. How can I be sure? Du Xiaofu was also a little nervous. To become a talisman master, you need to have extraordinary spiritual power and spiritual roots. Both are indispensable. Your spiritual roots are poor, but you have spiritual power that ordinary people simply can't compare with. This is your advantage. Zhen Qingchuan's illusory face was somewhat proud. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, To determine whether you can become a talisman master or not, the first thing I have to do is to see whether you can condense a spiritual stove, symbol cauldron. What's a spiritual stove, symbol cauldron? Du Xiaofu looked at Zhen Qingchen with a serious expression. People are born from their parents' brains. Their whole body is pure, connected like a ring, and white like silk. The first 3 elements are born, and the second 2 kidneys are born. Gradually, 2 eyes are born, and 2 external kidneys are born. Once the 3 elements are born, the 5 viscera, the 6 bowels, the 4 limbs, and the 100 bones are born. Afterwards, the human body has the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to match the 5 viscera. The lungs are metal, the liver is wood, the kidney is water, the heart is fire, and the temper is earth. Metal can give birth to water, and the kidney's water is the essence of the acquired world. Therefore, the lungs represent the innate energy, the wood can give birth to fire, and the heart's fire is the acquired spirit. Therefore, the liver and would represent the innate soul. The heart is the furnace, and the fire is the fire, and the kidney is the cauldron, and the water is the cauldron. Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "The spiritual stove symbol cauldron is the palace of ancestral qi and can bear all living things. This is also the first thing a symbol master must do. Look carefully, I'll let you see what a spiritual stove symbol cauldron is." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhen Qingchuan's illusory hand seals were constantly condensing, intertwining with each other in a mysterious and unfathomable manner. Waves of energy were constantly fluctuating, and as the hand seals were condensed, a series of runes appeared. Du Xiaofu's gaze was firmly fixed on Zhen Qingchuan's hand seals. Every time Zhen Qingchen was serious, Du Xiaofu felt that Zhen Qingchen didn't seem like a swindler at all. That kind of aura was absolutely not something a swindler could imitate. Even if one could imitate his appearance, they wouldn't be able to imitate his incorporeal charm. Boom! When the last hand seal was condensed, Zhen Qingchuan's illusory body shook, and an illusory cauldron about the size of his body appeared in midair in front of him. The cauldron was wrapped in white, green, black, red, and yellow energy. Mysterious runes lingered on it, as if it could transform endlessly and give birth to all living things in the world. Accompanied by a blazing aura, a terrifying aura swept out like a storm. Walala! Under the blazing aura, Du Xiaofu's body staggered back. The cauldron was accompanied by a huge pressure that descended, causing the blood in Du Xiaofu's body to freeze. His whole body trembled, and under the huge pressure he wanted to crawl. Du Xiaofu's gaze was tightly locked onto the cauldron. The cauldron was condensed from mysterious runes. Blazing flames danced about as the mysterious runes on the cauldron danced about. It was indescribably mysterious. Zhen Qingchen put away his spiritual stove and symbol cauldron, his eyes filled with doubt. He had revealed this move in order to show off and make that kid suffer a small loss. But he didn't expect that kid to be able to withstand such a blazing temperature and such a powerful aura. In fact, although his current strength couldn't even be compared to 1 or 2 10,000ths of his previous strength, a pulsation realm fighter would find it hard to resist. But this kid at the Xiantian realm could easily resist it. So this is the benefit of practicing the cultivation method of the golden-winged great peng. This kid is just like a great peng in human form. Zhen Qingchen sighed to himself. This kind of talent was indeed rarely seen. Was the cauldron you just condensed? As Zhen Qingchen put away the cauldron in front of him, Du Xiaofu came back to his senses, his eyes still filled with shock. Right, the cauldron I just condensed was a cauldron. But in my current situation, I can only condense it slightly. Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu, his gaze not lacking in brilliance, and said, "You also saw the spiritual stove and talisman cauldron I just condensed. The human body has the energies of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth of the 5 elements, matching the 5 viscera. The lungs are metal, the liver is wood, the kidneys are water, the heart is fire, and the temper is earth. Metal gives birth to water, the kidneys are acquired essence, the lungs represent innate energy, the wood gives birth to fire, the heart represents innate energy, and the liver represents innate soul. With the heart as the cauldron as the fire, and the kidneys as the cauldron as the water, condensing a cauldron will prove that you have the talent to become a spiritual talisman master. Mediocre people have no way to become a talisman master. Although you have some talent, and your mental force is also not bad, whether you can become a talisman master or not will depend on your own comprehension. Okay, I will give it a try first, Du Xiaofu nodded. A moment ago, in the cauldron condensed by Zhen Qingchen, he seemed to have comprehended something. Immediately, he closed his eyes, immersing himself in this state of comprehension. Humph! Take your time to comprehend. Even if your talent is even greater, it will still take you at least a month to comprehend a cauldron. Don't worry, take your time. Zhen Qingchen said indifferently, his vulgar eyes revealing a complacent smile. He didn't believe that this kid wouldn't kneel down and beg him when the time came. Even with his talent that everyone praised at the time, and under his careful guidance, it still took him a whole month to condense a cauldron. Chapter 57. But Zhen Qingchen was still hiding something, and didn't even teach him anything. He only lectured him a little, and didn't even impart the mysteries of the runes used to condense a spiritual stove or a symbol cauldron. Therefore, Zhen Qingchen didn't believe that Kid would be able to condense a spiritual stove or a symbol cauldron. When the time came, he would kneel down and beg him. At that time, he would definitely teach him a lesson. As he thought of this, a smile blossomed on Zhen Qingchuan's wretched face. Soon after, he transformed into a wave of energy and continued to enter the small tower. He was waiting for the day when that brat would kneel and beg him. At the back of the mountain, Du Xiaofu was immersed in his comprehension. Hand seals condensed and changed one after another in his hands. They were extremely similar to the hand seals condensed by Zhen Qingchen, and there was not much difference. Faintly, runes began to spread, and waves of aura spread out. However, they seemed to have encountered some kind of obstruction, and the runes continuously collapsed and shattered. Du Xiaofu didn't give up. Hand seals kept condensing, and more runes appeared. Every time he condensed a hand seal, the duration of the runes would grow longer and longer. At this moment, if Zhen Qingchen were to witness all of this with his own eyes, who knew how he would feel in his heart? Everything did not develop as he had expected. The king-scaled demon tiger was lazily leaning against a rock, closing its eyes to rest. Occasionally, it would open its eyes to look at Du Xiaofu before closing them again. Time slowly passed from early morning to evening. Hand seals condensed in Du Xiaofu's hand one after another. After failing, he continued to condense, completely immersed in his comprehension. At dusk, the sun was close to the horizon, like a ball of fire about to be extinguished. The afterglow of the setting sun passed through the mountain peak and reflected in the back mountain, as if a layer of rust had appeared on the mountain range. In the setting sun, a faint red glow was left on the horizon. Bang! When night fell, Du Xiaofu, who was deep in the mountains, condensed the last handprint in his hand. Suddenly, a terrifying aura burst out from his body. The runes in front of him quickly gathered and arranged, and finally condensed into a furnace. A blazing aura spread out, and the mysterious runes of the talisman flickered and jumped. The powerful aura rushed out like a wave. Compared to Zhen Qingchuan's spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron, this blazing cauldron was a bit more illusory, and its aura was clearly a lot weaker. The mysterious patterns on it were also a lot simpler, to the extent that there were only runes and no talismans. However, there were still white, green, black, red, and yellow energy radiances. Above the cauldron, there was a faint golden radiance, faintly flickering with runes. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could feel the profound energy in his spirit watchtower and meridians being instantly absorbed by the cauldron. The condensed cauldron was like a monster that specialized in devouring profound energy. It wanted to devour all of the profound energy in his body. A spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron. You actually condensed a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron. How is this possible? Zhen Qingchuan's illusory figure appeared in the air in front of Du Xiaofu. His immature and wretched face was filled with shock, and his eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Condensing a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron in a single day was a scene that appeared before his eyes. White, green, black, red, and yellow, these 5 colored runes. This is impossible. My eyes must be deceiving me. Zhen Qingchen blinked his eyes. He found this scene hard to believe. This was just too inconceivable. He clearly understood that if this scene were to appear in the outside world and reach the ears of those old monsters, who knew how many of them would be alarmed, this was simply an inconceivable miracle. Qi, the spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron condensed in front of Du Xiaofu's body collapsed, and he staggered back a few steps. His face was deathly pale. In a short time, the profound energy in his body was completely consumed, and he was no longer able to support the cauldron. He was even more exhausted than after a great battle. Kid, have you really never condensed a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron before? Zhen Qingchuan's gaze was firmly fixed on Du Xiaofu's body. He absolutely didn't believe that this kid had never condensed a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron before. No, don't tell me that the one I just condensed was still a failure. Du Xiaofu's eyes revealed some disappointment. Condensing a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron was really quite difficult, and wasn't easy to comprehend. Zhen Qingchen helplessly rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. Although he couldn't believe it, from the look in Du Xiaofu's eyes, as well as his recent observations, he knew that this kid was absolutely not lying. No, you succeeded in condensing a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron. The spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron you condensed contains the 5 types of runes of metal: wood, water, fire, and earth. This is the best spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron. Zhen Qingchen was somewhat speechless. This kid could only be described as abnormal. He was obviously a human, but trained in the cultivation method of the golden-winged great Pang, and condensed a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron in a single day. Furthermore, he condensed a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron with 5 types of runes. If this wasn't abnormal, what else could it be? Did you succeed? I thought that you had failed. It took you a whole day to condense it. Is my innate talent really that bad? How long did it take you to condense it? It must have taken you less time than me. Du Xiaofu's face was deathly pale, and he looked at Zhen Qingchen with some sighs and disappointment. You. Zhen Qingchen choked back his words. How was he supposed to reply? Was he supposed to tell this abnormal kid that at that time, even with his heavenly talent, it took him a month to comprehend and condense a spiritual stove and a symbol cauldron? Zhen Qingchen really wanted to take a piece of tofu and ruthlessly smash it against that seemingly innocent face. This abnormal kid was deliberately making him look bad. Alas, I knew that my innate talent as a spiritual symbol master was not good enough, but in the end, I succeeded in condensing a spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron. Seeing Zhen Qingchen not reply, Du Xiaofu was even more certain that his innate talent was not enough. Then, looking at Zhen Qingchen, he weakly asked, Right, you just said that the spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron I condensed contains the 5 types of runes of metal: wood, water, fire, and earth, and is the best spiritual furnace and symbol cauldron. What does that mean? At this moment, Zhen Qingchen really wanted to violently kick this abnormal kid a few times, to make him blush with shame and sullen to the extreme. But Zhen Qingchen knew that he was currently unable to do so. If he recovered later, he would definitely trample on this abnormal kid. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed the anger and sullenness in his heart and said to Du Xiaofu with a supercilious look, Spiritual symbol masters are also divided into many kinds, which are a lot more complicated than the path of martial cultivation. Strictly speaking, they should be divided into medicinal symbol masters, tool symbol masters, and formation symbol masters. As the name implies, medicinal symbol masters are naturally suited to develop in the field of alchemy, while tool symbol masters are suited to develop in the field of refining tools. What about formation symbol masters? Du Xiaofu was really surprised. He didn't expect that there would be so many differences among spiritual symbol masters. Zhen Qingchen raised his eyebrows and said, Formation symbol masters are naturally able to have some attainments in the field of talisman arrays. Formation symbol masters are the rarest existences among all spiritual symbol masters and are publicly recognized as the most terrifying existences among them. Talisman arrays. Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up. Naturally, he had heard about talisman arrays. It was rumored that those spiritual symbol masters who could arrange talisman arrays were all terrifying existences and unpredictable. It was said that a powerful talisman array was enough to contend with an empire. Taking a slight breath, Du Xiaofu continued to ask Jin Qingchen, could it be that medicinal symbol masters and tool symbol masters can't have attainments in talisman arrays? Of course not. It's difficult for one formation symbol master to appear among 10,000 spiritual symbol masters. Formation symbol masters are rare existences among spiritual symbol masters, and any one of them is enough to show disdain for the outstanding heroes, because formation symbol masters are almost omnipotent existences among spiritual symbol masters. As he said that, Zhen Qingchuan's eyes were filled with pride. Looking at Du Xiaofu, he said with a proud smile, and I am a formation symbol master among spiritual symbol masters, an almost omnipotent existence. For you to meet me, you must have burned countless incense sticks. You must have been blessed by your ancestors to have such an opportunity. Du Xiaofu gave Zhen Qingchen a blank look and said, speaking so arrogantly, if you have the ability, don't ask me for my internal force. Zhen Qingchen was once again defeated by Du Xiaofu. His previous pride immediately vanished, and he continued helplessly, the human body is endlessly mysterious. Every person's body contains the 5 energies of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The only difference is that some are strong and some are weak. For spiritual symbol masters, those who condense fire and wood runes on their spiritual stoves and talisman cauldrons can become medicinal symbol masters and have some attainments in the field of alchemy. Those who condense metal and water runes on their spiritual stoves and talisman cauldrons can have great attainments and prospects in the field of refining. Chapter 58. Humph. Zhen Qingchen raised his eyebrows, coldly snorting as he said, as for talisman masters, they need the 5 types of rune energies of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to be prominent at the same time. Only when all 5 types of rune energies are prominent at the same time can they practice talisman seals and set up talisman arrays. No wonder talisman masters are so few and far between. So it turns out that they need the 5 types of rune energies of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Du Xiaofu seemed to have understood somewhat, as if he had suddenly thought of something astonishing. Looking at Zhen Qingchen, he asked in astonishment, in that case, medicine talisman masters and tool talisman masters are affected by rune energies and are unable to develop further as talisman masters. But talisman masters have 5 types of rune energies, so aren't they also medicine talisman masters and array talisman masters at the same time? In theory, yes, but your thinking is too simple. Zhen Qingchen indifferently glanced at Du Xiaofu and sighed, biting off more than you can chew. No matter if it's refining medicine, refining weapons, or talisman arrays, these are all incomparably profound. How many peerlessly talented seniors and famous experts have exhausted their entire life's worth of effort and still found it difficult to set foot on the peak of a single field? Refining medicine, refining weapons, and talisman arrays at the same time. In the end, one would only end up with nothing. In this world, who has the talent and ability to simultaneously cultivate everything? Then what about you? I remember that your spiritual stove symbol cauldron also has 5 types of rune energies. Du Xiaofu asked. I major in talisman arrays and minor in medicine refining, but I no longer have the energy to study tool refining. Even medicine refining as a minor is already very strenuous. Zhen Qingchen sighed. Practicing all of them at the same time was something even he couldn't do. Not to mention that not all spirit talisman masters could be talisman masters. He had never heard of a spirit talisman master who could simultaneously practice all of them. Du Xiaofu could also understand what Jin Qingchen had said. No matter if it was a martial artist or a spiritual talisman master, a medicine talisman master, a weapon talisman master, or a formation talisman master, any path of cultivation was vast and endless. A person's energy was limited. Countless experts and peerless talents had spent their entire lives on a single path of cultivation, but it was still difficult for them to set foot on the peak, let alone cultivating several paths at the same time. Oh, right, what should I cultivate? Can I become a talisman master now? Also, how long did it take for you to condense your spiritual stove and symbol cauldron? How much time did it take for you to condense your spiritual stove and symbol cauldron? Is my innate talent as a symbol master really that bad? Zhen Qingchen, why did your expression change? You look a little embarrassed. Du Xiaofu continued to throw a pile of questions at Jin Qingchen. In the end, Zhen Qingchen couldn't take it anymore, and after glaring at Du Xiaofu with a murderous look, he hid inside the small pagoda without the slightest hesitation. This abnormal kid was definitely deliberately trying to attack him. Jin Qingchen firmly believed. Zhen Qingchen, you still haven't told me whether I'm qualified or not. At the very least, you should tell me whether my innate talent is good enough or not. If I can't compare with you, you don't have to refuse to answer me. You don't have to look down on me like that. Kid, after adjusting your breathing, continue condensing your spiritual stove and symbol cauldron. When you're proficient enough, I'll naturally inform you. In addition, I'll pass on to you the Great One Soul Mantra to cultivate mental force. Zhen Qingchuan's voice was transmitted from the small pagoda. Great One Qi from nothingness. The heavens and people are all bewildered. The heavens use yin and yang and the 5 elements to give birth to all living things, while the qi takes shape. People have innate righteousness, becoming the spirit of all living things. After transmitting the mantra, Zhen Qingchen didn't pay any more attention to Du Xiaofu. 5 days later, in a quiet valley behind the Du family's mountain, Zhen Qingchuan's illusory figure condensed a spiritual stove and symbol cauldron in front of him. Changing his hand seals, he continuously threw a pile of spiritual herbs in front of him into the cauldron. Walala! As the flames inside the cauldron surged out, the surrounding temperature immediately became scorching hot. The spiritual herbs were immediately swallowed by the flames, before turning into liquid. Ripples of energy immediately spread out. Watching Zhen Qingchuan's every move closely, Du Xiaofu watched Zhen Qingchuan's hand seals change without blinking. Inside, he was somewhat shocked by Zhen Qingchen. Although he hadn't come into contact with other spiritual talisman masters, he could feel that this kind of method was absolutely not something an ordinary spiritual talisman master could accomplish. Zhen Qingchuan's gaze was fixed on the changes in the flame and the spiritual liquid inside the cauldron, unceasingly refining the impurities inside the spiritual liquid. His expression was extremely relaxed, as if this was a very easy task. After no less than half an hour, Zhen Qingchuan's face started to become more and more illusory, showing some signs of exhaustion. But after the last spiritual liquid was turned into liquid, a palm-sized spiritual liquid appeared inside the cauldron. The cauldron dissipated, and the spiritual liquid was wrapped in Zhen Qingchuan's palm. Looking at the spiritual liquid in Zhen Qingchuan's palm, Du Xiaofu's eyes glowed. He could clearly feel how abundant the energy contained within the spiritual liquid was. If he consumed it and cultivated the conjoined body technique, there would definitely be a huge improvement. Should I consume the spiritual liquid? Du Xiaofu was filled with anticipation. After consuming the spiritual liquid, there would definitely be a lot of improvement. If you want to die, then consume it. This spiritual liquid was refined by me to strengthen your spiritual roots. If you consume it directly, it will be enough to shatter your spiritual gate. Zhen Qingchen rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. With a light flick of his finger, the spiritual liquid in his palm fell into a natural pool in the valley. Immediately, the clear pool in the valley turned greenish-white. Walala! As the spiritual liquid fell, the previously calm spiritual liquid suddenly became violent, causing the water to boil like boiling water. Strip naked and jump in. Let your body absorb the medicinal power. I estimate that after soaking in it for 8 to 10 years, your spiritual roots will be more or less complete. Zhan Qingchuan's illusory sleeve shook, as if he was extremely satisfied with the spiritual liquid he refined. Upon hearing this, Du Xiaofu's expression became a little awkward. He said, 8 to 10 years, isn't that a little too long? Can it be faster? What do you think this is? How many people in the world can strengthen their spiritual roots? You think it's too slow? Zhen Qingchun glared fiercely at Du Xiaofu. He rolled his eyes and said, also, the spiritual liquid's effect can only last you one time. In the future, you will have to absorb the medicinal power 3 times a month to strengthen your spiritual roots. So, you'll have to prepare more of these things for today. 3 times a month, damn it! Du Xiaofu's face froze, and then he became embarrassed. Why? Do you think it's too expensive? I know you can't afford the good ones, so I've already chosen the cheapest ones. If you buy materials that satisfy me, I'm afraid that the price of the materials one time is too expensive for a spiritual pulse-level cultivator to afford, even if he sells his entire family's fortune, Zhan Qingchen said. Du Xiaofu's expression became even more awkward. Zhan Qingchen had listed the worst materials for him, but he could only endure it. He couldn't even afford the cheapest materials now, so what else could he say? According to Zhen Qingchuan's instructions, Du Xiaofu took off his clothes and jumped into the pool naked. Circulate the great One Soul mantra and absorb the medicinal power into your body. Zhen Qingchuan's voice, once again, passed into Du Xiaofu's ears. Du Xiaofu sat in the pool with his legs crossed. A mysterious figure floated on the surface of the water. He formed a seal with his hands and circulated the great One Soul skill. Immediately, the boiling water surface of the pool reacted. It was as though it had found an outlet. Wave after wave of ripples swept towards Du Xiaofu. This kid is a freak, an absolute freak. On Zhen Qingchuan's illusory face, his eyes were fixed on Du Xiaofu in the pool, and he couldn't wait to pick up a stone and throw it at him. He condensed a spiritual furnace and a symbol cauldron in one day, and a 5-rune one at that. And in just 5 days, this abnormal kid had actually succeeded in cultivating the great One Soul mantra. Thinking back, it took him a full year and 5 months to successfully cultivate the great One Soul technique. But this kid only took 5 days. After that, he even asked him if it was because he took too long and his talent was not enough. This made Zhen Qingchun simply unable to accept it. Bang! Suddenly, changes occurred in the pool. As Du Xiaofu circulated the great One Soul mantra, waves of fluctuation swept over, and an abundant energy beyond Du Xiaofu's imagination rushed over. Chapter 59. Amidst the abundant energy, Du Xiaofu's naked body continued to form hand seals as he began to absorb the abundant energy contained within the spiritual liquid. Finally, the energy entered his body through his pores and greedily absorbed the endless energy within the spiritual liquid. Suddenly, under the stimulation of the spiritual liquid's energy, Du Xiaofu felt as if something mysterious was about to jump out of his body. It was as if something mysterious was hibernating in his body and had suddenly awakened, causing him to feel a piercing pain all over his body. He could not help but let out a miserable cry. Chi-la-la! At this moment, mysterious rays of light began to blossom from Du Xiaofu's naked body. Rays of light jumped out. The rays of light were somewhat turbid and dim, but they were connected to the meridians and blood vessels in his body. When the rays of light finally intertwined and condensed on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body, a terrifying aura spread out. A dense net of light wrapped around Du Xiaofu. Roar! In the valley, the king-scaled demonic tiger looked at Du Xiaofu, who was wrapped in the net of light. The oppressive aura that spread out from the net of light caused the king's scaled, demonic tiger to tremble and crawl on the ground. Heavens, this is above the pool. Zhen Qingquan's illusory face suddenly changed in shock. He looked at the mysterious net of light around Du Xiaofu's body and his eyes became dull. Martial vein spiritual seal. This is a martial vein spiritual seal and not an ordinary martial vein spiritual seal. Zhen Qingquan's gaze was fixed on the net of light around Du Xiaofu's body. Immediately after, he seemed to have discovered something within the net of light. His face was once again filled with shock as he said, "Spiritual root. This kid's spiritual root is not bad, it's sealed. What a brilliant sealing technique." Abundant energy ripples were present within the pool. However, they were rapidly devoured and absorbed by the light net. A majestic and desolate aura surged from the light net. Soon after, the pool regained its calm. The mysterious light net also disappeared, while Du Xiaofu fell unconscious within the pool. When Du Xiaofu woke up, he found himself lying on a rock beside the pool. He had already put on his clothes, and the faces of Zhen Qingquan and the king's scaled demonic tiger appeared in front of him. "What happened?" Du Xiaofu asked. He only remembered the piercing pain in his body, as if something mysterious was awakening. Then he fainted. Zhen Qingquan looked at Du Xiaofu and said in a deep voice, "I made a mistake. I just checked you carefully. It's not that you don't have a spiritual root, but that your spiritual root has been sealed?" "What do you mean?" Du Xiaofu sat up, feeling a little dizzy. He patted his head and felt that his body was gradually returning to normal. To put it simply, your spiritual root is actually very strong. It's so strong that even I can't see through it. However, someone has a grudge against you. Your spiritual root was sealed when you were born. The person who sealed your spiritual root is very strong. So strong that even if I were at my peak, it would still be difficult for me to break the seal. Zhen Qingquan's gaze flickered. The seal was too strong. He did not understand why such a strong person would seal a baby's spiritual root. "Someone sealed my spiritual root?" Du Xiaofu's expression changed greatly when he heard this. He immediately looked at Zhen Qingquan and asked, "Are you telling the truth?" "Why would I lie to you?" Zhen Qingquan rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. "Who on earth has such a deep grudge against me?" Du Xiaofu's eyes were filled with anger. His spiritual root had been sealed, and his martial vein had been destroyed. It was obvious that this person did not want him to cultivate and wanted him to become a mediocre person. What a sinister method. Zhen Qingquan hesitated for a moment. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "When I examined you just now, I discovered something. You really have a lot of secrets. You actually integrated with the mystic bone of the golden-winged roc. No wonder you can cultivate the cultivation method of the golden-winged roc. However, I also discovered that there is not only the mystic bone of the golden-winged roc in your body, but also an aura that is not inferior to that of the golden-winged roc. It's a pity that I can't examine it in my current state." Zhen Qingquan paused for a moment. Just now, when Du Xiaofu was unconscious, he found out that this kid had a lot of amazing secrets. At this moment, he still could not help but look calm. He continued to say to Du Xiaofu, "In addition, your martial vein should have been destroyed before, but for some reason, it miraculously recovered. It seems that something happened in your body, causing your sealed spiritual root to loosen a little. This change should be related to the mystic bone of the golden-winged roc and the other aura in your body, because your spiritual root now has the aura of the golden-winged roc and that other aura." "Has my spiritual root recovered?" Du Xiaofu looked at Zhen Qingquan and asked. "No." Zhen Qingquan shook his head and said, "But I have two good news for you." "What good news?" Du Xiaofu asked. "The first good news is that from the martial vein and the sealed spiritual root in your body, you should not be an ordinary person. It is impossible for ordinary people to have those kinds of martial vein and spiritual root." Zhen Qingquan looked at Du Xiaofu and narrowed his eyes. He continued, because something happened in your body, and because of the stimulation of the elixir I just refined, the seal has loosened." "What do you mean?" Du Xiaofu was a little confused. "In other words, you can already become a spiritual talisman master. Your spiritual root is very strong, and your spiritual power is also very strong. It is enough to have a good future as a spiritual talisman master. However, your spiritual root is still sealed, which will suppress and affect your path as a spiritual talisman master. If you wait until I recover to my peak, I have a 50% chance of helping you break the seal. But I can't do anything now." Zhen Qingchen said. Du Xiaofu stood up. On his resolute face, his clear eyes were constantly fluctuating. Zhen Qingchen looked at Du Xiaofu and asked, "What do you plan to do?" Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at Zhen Qingchen. He said, "I want to know who has a deep hatred for me and who will also help you recover as soon as possible. Didn't you say that I am a liar and that you are always on guard against me? After I recover, aren't you afraid that I will harm you?" Zhen Qingchen smiled faintly. "I have long believed you. You are not a liar. If you wanted to harm me, you could have done it when I was unconscious." Du Xiaofu looked at Zhen Qingchen and said calmly, "I know you just want to recover as soon as possible, and I need you to break the seal on my spiritual root as soon as possible." Zhen Qingchen was secretly shocked. If an ordinary person knew about this situation, it would take a long time for them to calm down. They might also go to their elders immediately. But this abnormal kid in front of him actually had his own plan in such a short time. He did not even have the intention to alarm any elders or bystanders. Zhen Qingchen was right. Du Xiaofu did not have the intention to alarm any elders. The elders in the clan did not know that his spiritual root was sealed. According to Zhen Qingchen, the person who sealed his spiritual root was an extremely powerful expert. He was afraid that the people in the Du family could not do anything. It was useless to tell the Du family, and it might even alert the enemy. The only way was to become stronger. Only after becoming very strong would he be able to find out who had such a deep hatred for him. "Acknowledge me as your teacher. According to our agreement, if I let you become a spiritual talisman master, you will acknowledge me as your teacher." Zhen Qingchen said to Du Xiaofu, "I said that you let me become a spiritual talisman master first. I did not say that I must acknowledge you as my teacher." Du Xiaofu looked at Zhen Qingchen and said seriously. Zhen Qingchen's expression suddenly became ugly. He said angrily, "You brat, are you trying to cheat?" "I don't mean to cheat. You thought too much at the beginning." Du Xiaofu said seriously. If he acknowledged Zhen Qingchen as his teacher, he would have to listen to that wretched guy's words in the future. If he did not listen, he would inevitably have a reputation of not respecting his teacher. Du Xiaofu did not want to fall into that trap. "Good boy. You think that you can rely on me now that you have learned my Tai Soul Mantra? Let me tell you from now on, don't expect me to teach you anything that I have learned. Don't even think about unlocking the seal on your spiritual root," Zhen Qingchen said fiercely. At the beginning, who knew how many experts knelt in front of him to acknowledge him as their master, but he did not care. But now, this brat in front of him was actually disdainful of him. "Thank you to beautiful sister, no tears for your reward. Martial God World number 16 will be on the shelves. When the time comes, the old rules will definitely explode. I also continue to invite brothers who do not have a bookshelf to add this book to the bookshelf. The daily recommendation ticket is also very important. Thank you, everyone." Chapter 60. Then don't even think about recovering. Even if I can't become a talisman master, I can still practice martial arts. As for you, without my help, I believe it will be very difficult for you to recover. Du Xiaofu was not threatened by Zhen Qingchen at all. "At worst, we will break up." Zhen Qingchen was not someone to be trifled with. He had lived for so many years and was not someone who would be easily led by the nose. He stared at Du Xiaofu and said, "If you don't become my disciple today, I won't teach you." Don't be so ruthless. Du Xiaofu looked at Zhen Qingchen and smiled. We can't be master and disciple, but we can still be brothers. Let's become sworn brothers. You look too young. I look older than you. I will be the older brother and you will be the younger brother. What do you think? Zhen Qingchen, brother, don't run into the pagoda. It's also good for us to become sworn brothers. At worst, you can be the older brother on odd days, and I can be the older brother on even days. What do you think? That way you won't lose out. 6 hours later, in the valley behind the Du family's mountain, Du Xiaofu respectfully knelt on the ground. He looked at the sky and said, "The heavens above and the earth below. I, Du Xiaofu, swear today that I will become sworn brothers with Zhen Qingchen. As the older brother, I have the obligation to take care of the younger brother, love the younger brother, and take care of the younger brother. The younger brother will take care of the older brother according to the situation. We will share fortune and misfortune together. If I violate this oath, I will be struck by lightning, my head will grow pus, my feet will grow ulcers, and my buttocks will grow hemorrhoids." Du Xiaofu, what do you mean by the older brother has the obligation to take care of the younger brother, love the younger brother, and the younger brother will take care of the older brother according to the situation? Zhen Qingchuan's illusory body was also kneeling on the ground. He glared at Du Xiaofu fiercely. After 6 hours, under Du Xiaofu's various threats and promises, he was finally forced to compromise and agree to become sworn brothers. The only thing he won was that he would always be the big brother, whether it was a single day or a double day. However, at this moment, Zhen Qingchen only felt very aggrieved, absolutely aggrieved. What kind of status did he have? If word of this got out, even if he recovered to his prime, he would not be able to show his old face to anyone. Du Xiaofu turned around and smiled at Zhen Qingchen. "Brother Qingchen, hurry up and worship him. As an older brother, I naturally have to take care of my younger brother. Anyway, you won't lose out." Zhen Qingchen was speechless. He had no choice but to follow Du Xiaofu and kowtow to the heavens 3 times, reciting the oath. However, he was also speechless when he mentioned that his head had pus, his feet had ulcers, and the middle of his buttocks had hemorrhoids. The ceremony is complete. From now on, we are brothers. From now on, I'm really envious of you. Du Xiaofu stood up with a smile on his face. He felt that he was at a disadvantage by becoming Zhen Qingchuan's disciple. However, if he did not become Zhen Qingchuan's disciple, Zhen Qingchen would not agree. Du Xiaofu was also afraid that Zhen Qingchen would not teach him seriously. However, now that they had become sworn brothers, everything was different. After swearing the oath, he was not afraid that Zhen Qingchen would cheat him. "What are you envious of?" Zhen Qingchen stood up. His illusory face and eyes still looked extremely aggrieved. "I'm envious of you being my sworn big brother. I'm envious of you having a sworn brother like me in the future. I'm really envious." Du Xiaofu's face was serious. After a long time, Zhen Qingchuan's aggrieved face opened his mouth and spat out 2 words to Du Xiaofu: "Go to hell!" Du Xiaofu smiled and did not mind. He looked at Zhen Qingchen and said, "Brother Qingchen, we are already brothers. As an older brother, you can't not give me a greeting gift, right? Do you really not have any good martial skills or spiritual weapons? Spiritual herbs are also fine. I don't mind." Fiercely glaring at Du Xiaofu, Zhen Qingchen simply didn't want to continue the conversation with this brat. He said, "Tomorrow go buy some things. Those spiritual medicines that can strengthen spiritual roots are no longer of any use to you. You need to find some other spiritual medicines. I want you to progress faster on the path of martial arts. In addition, from tomorrow onwards, I will formally teach you how to refine medicine and array glyphs. I will also teach you how to refine some spiritual medicines so that you can progress faster on the path of martial arts. Only when your strength is strong can you help me find some things. Just relying on your Xian Qi alone won't allow me to recover quickly." Okay. Du Xiaofu's face regained its color. He needed to become stronger now. He needed to work hard to become stronger. The next morning, Du Xiaofu once again went to the Du family enterprise. According to Zhen Qingchuan's list, he bought a lot of spiritual herbs and other things. The 6,000 cultivation coins in his cultivation coin card was far from enough. Du Xiaofu finally reluctantly took out a lot of good things from his qingquan bag and sold them. Only then did he pay off the bill for the spiritual herbs and other things he needed to buy. In the morning, the streets of Stone City were already bustling with activity. When Du Xiaofu left the Du family enterprise and went out of the textile city, he was blocked by a dozen young men and women. The people who came looked hurried. Looking at the situation, it seemed that they had already planned this beforehand. They knew that he was in the textile city, so they hurried over. Among the dozen young men and women, there was a young man in his 20s with many exquisite and expensive accessories hanging on his waist. His appearance was quite good, but his face was a little pale, which made him look a little delicate. Looking at Du Xiaofu, he indifferently said, "You are Du Xiaofu from the Du family?" Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at the dozen people who came over. Among them, there were a few who were quite familiar. He seemed to have met them when he was young. The one who spoke should be a member of the Bai family. He slightly raised his eyes and said, "Bai Tianming, do you need something?" "Xiaolu, this guy should be Du Xiaofu. We met when we were young." After hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the delicate young man did not reply to Du Xiaofu. Instead, he enthusiastically said to an 18 or 19-year-old girl beside him. The girl's gaze had already fallen on Du Xiaofu. Her face was quite beautiful. She pursed her lips and looked at Du Xiaofu with a smile. She slightly snorted and said in a low voice, "Brother Zhuolong also said that he is the number one person in the younger generation of our 5 great families." "Humph, I think that the man that Yi Zijin likes is only SO. A fool who has been dumb for 10 years. How strong can he be?" The girl's voice was a little gloomy and ear-piercing, which was unpleasant to the ears. "Xiaolu, Yi Zijin naturally cannot be compared to you. I think that Zhuolong is also full of nonsense." Bai Tianming had been tightly surrounding the girl. "Bai Tianming, don't insult Brother Zhuolong." The girl's expression suddenly changed. "Xiaolu, didn't Zhuolong say that this guy is the number one person in the younger generation of our 5 great families? I will now prove to you that Zhuolong is also full of nonsense." Hearing the girl's words, Bai Tianming was stunned. Then a gloomy expression quietly flashed across his delicate face. "Humph, didn't you want to teach this Du Xiaofu a lesson?" The girl slightly raised her head and sneered at Du Xiaofu. She disdainfully curled her lips and turned to Bai Tianming, who had a gloomy expression, and said, "If you lose to that guy, don't appear beside me in the future. I will make him kneel and beg for mercy." Bai Tianming looked at Du Xiaofu, as if he wanted to vent his dissatisfaction and resentment on Du Xiaofu. The corner of his mouth twitched, and a ruthless expression appeared on his feminine face. "Du Xiaofu, everyone says that you are the number one person in the younger generation of the 5 great families. Today, I will let them know how shallow Yi Zijin and Zhuolong's vision is." Chapter 61. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. Bai Tianming's eyes flashed coldly as he stomped his foot. His figure turned into a ghostly shadow and appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, his Xiantian realm aura surging out. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. This Bai Tianming's cultivation was higher than Qi Hu's. His Xiantian realm aura was definitely not low among the younger generation. Something interesting is about to happen. It seems like Bai Tianming of the Bai family and Qin Xiaolu of the Qin family are going to deal with Du Xiaofu of the Du family. A few days ago, it was said that Qi Hu of the Qi family was beaten up by Du Xiaofu. The Qi family went to the Du family, but didn't manage to gain any advantage. Qi Long also accidentally told others that Du Xiaofu of the Du family is the number one person among the younger generation of the 5 great families. So that's Du Xiaofu of the Du family. On the surrounding streets, following the commotion, it immediately attracted a lot of onlookers. In the short span of a breath, Bai Tianming appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. His indifferent and gloomy face sneered. Profound qi surged as he clenched his fist. The air crackled and exploded as his fist blasted towards Du Xiaofu. Qi. However, just as Bai Tianming's fist appeared in front of Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared from Bai Tianming's sight. In that short span of time, the onlookers only saw a blur before Du Xiaofu's figure appeared behind Bai Tianming like a ghost. At the same time, a fist imprint mixed with a terrifying gale smashed towards Bai Tianming's back. Bang bang! Wherever the fist passed, 13 consecutive sounds resounded in the air. It seems to be the Du family's oscillating fist, but why is it so powerful? Among the spectators, there were some with extraordinary eyesight, and some of them actually saw through the origin of Du Xiaofu's martial skill. In the short span of a breath, Bai Tianming had no time to react. When Du Xiaofu's fist made its 13th sound, it landed solidly on Bai Tianming's back under the horrified gazes of the surrounding onlookers. Puchi! The terrifying tidal wave like wind directly caused Bai Tianming's body to be thrown into the air like a kite with a broken string. He was like a fragile bamboo that was blown away by a gale. Finally, he violently smashed into the ground over 10 meters away. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood as shock surged in his eyes. The Bai family's Bai Tianming couldn't even withstand a single blow from Du Xiaofu. The surrounding onlookers were dumbfounded as they stared at Bai Tianming, who had fallen to the ground. Their faces were filled with disbelief. The Bai family's Bai Tianming was so easily defeated. In any case, he was at the mysterious Xiantian realm. Even in the entire Stone City, he could be considered as one of the strongest. Du Xiaofu, I want to see how strong the person that Yi Zijin has chosen is. Almost at the same time, Bai Tianming's body landed on the ground. A cold shout suddenly rang out not far from Du Xiaofu's side. The Qin clan's Qin Xiaolu held a 3-foot-long green longsword in her hand. She tapped the ground with the tip of her foot, and a surge of profound qi surged. Borrowing the strength of this profound qi, her graceful and delicate body pounced towards Du Xiaofu with lightning speed. Qianqian's hand formed a sword sign, and the long sword in her hand moved. The sword light was dazzling and carried runes. Several sword lights immediately shot towards Du Xiaofu, head to tail. Obviously, this Qin Lu had already expected that Bai Tianming would be unable to deal with Du Xiaofu. Her attack was considered a sneak attack. However, she probably didn't expect that Bai Tianming would be sent flying in a single exchange. However, her sword was already like an arrow on the bow. Curtain of rain sword art. The sword light pierced through the air as if it was tearing space apart. Waves of profound energy split from the tip of the sword like a meteor falling from the sky. It formed an arc of sword light that enveloped Du Xiaofu. Is she also at the Xiantian realm? Du Xiaofu frowned. This Qin family's woman was also at the Xiantian realm. However, with that extraordinary longsword, it was undoubtedly much stronger than Bai Tianming's previous attack. Bai Tianming was obviously careless when he made his move. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to defeat him in a single move. However, this Qin family's woman was much more sinister than Bai Tianming. She didn't hold back at all when she made her move. Seeing the energy sword beam approaching, the profound energy beneath Du Xiaofu's feet surged, and with the help of the strength qi's pushing force, his body suddenly retreated explosively. The energy sword beam just happened to graze the surface of his body, and the sharp sword beam's wind also caused his skin to feel a piercing pain. Humph! Qin Xiaolu coldly snorted, as if she didn't expect Du Xiaofu's speed to be so fast. She changed her sword art and nimbly landed back on the ground. Her jade-like hand waved horizontally. Along with the wave of her hand, the 3-foot-long longsword in her hand trembled. Another sword light directly shot towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's gaze turned a little gloomy. He condensed his hand seals, and a faint, golden, profound energy suddenly surged around his body. The enormous energy that was suddenly released caused the faces of the surrounding spectators to be filled with astonishment. Profound energy surged as a palm print retreated from Du Xiaofu's palm. Like the stormy wave's palm, layers of terrifying energy, fluctuations directly smashed onto Qin Xiaolu's sword light under many astonished gazes. Bang! When the two collided, the sound of an energy explosion rang out. The fierce sword light was directly destroyed by the former in the most barbaric manner. It was a kind of forceful suppression. Crack! Immediately after, a crisp cracking sound rang out. The 3-foot-long longsword in Qin Xiaolu's hand was directly broken. Everyone was stunned. The longsword in Qin Xiaolu's hand wasn't an ordinary item. Although it hadn't reached the level of a spiritual artifact, it was probably infinitely close to one. At this moment, it was actually directly broken. Just how powerful was Du Xiaofu's strength? When the long sword was broken, Qin Xiaolu's body was suddenly sent flying in the midst of the stormy waves of energy fluctuations. After flying for several meters, she quickly displayed a movement martial skill. Her body rapidly rotated in the air. When her body landed on the ground, the tip of her foot touched the ground. Her body seemed to glide. Only then did she instantly retreat for nearly 10 meters before stabilizing her delicate body. Crack, crack! As Qin Xiaolu's delicate body retreated, every step she took caused the stone pavement on the street to emit a crack-crack sound. Gravel flew, and dust violently shot out. Cracks spread out from the dust under her feet. Pucci! When her delicate body finally stabilized, the broken sword in Qin Xiaolu's hand fell onto the street. The palm that was holding the sword hilt was trembling, and fresh blood was spurting out from her mouth. Her face was deathly pale. Du Xiaofu looked at Bai Tianming and Qin Xiaolu, who were crawling up, and directly walked to their side. The surrounding young men and women actually didn't dare to step forward. Bai Tianming and Qin Xiaolu weren't a match for him. How would they dare to go up and look for a beating? What are you trying to do? Don't come over. Looking at the approaching Du Xiaofu, Qin Xiaolu and Bai Tianming's deathly pale faces became extremely ugly. However, it seemed that their injuries were too severe. Even retreating seemed to be strenuous. Bai Tianming, Qin Xiaolu, the two of you must have forgotten to take your medicine today. Naturally, you will have to pay a price. Du Xiaofu didn't stop his footsteps. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he directly took out a chinquan pouch from their clothes. To be able to carry a chinquan pouch, it proved that the two of them definitely didn't have an ordinary status in their respective families. Looking on helplessly as Du Xiaofu took away their chinquan pouches, Bai Tianming and Qin Xiaolu's expressions were unsightly. However, there was nothing they could do. Du Xiaofu, especially Qin Xiaolu. She looked on helplessly as Du Xiaofu actually ignored the fact that men and women shouldn't touch each other. He reached his hand into her long skirt and took away the chinquan pouch. She was so angry that her delicate face changed color. Dark red blood once again flowed out from the corner of her mouth. The next time you provoke me, I won't be as polite as today. Looking at the bewildered Bai Tianming and Qin Xiaolu, Du Xiaofu very naturally kept the two chinquan pouches in his clothes under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Then he turned around and walked away. So handsome. He's really too cool. I didn't know that the Du family had such a young master. Among the onlookers on the street, many young girls looked at the tall and straight figure walking away with infatuation in their eyes. Du Xiaofu from the Du family lives up to his reputation. The Bai and Qin families have also fallen this time. Looks like the Du family will be the champion of the competition between the 5 great families this time. As Du Xiaofu walked away, the surrounding onlookers started to discuss spiritedly. Among the crowd, there were several figures wearing long robes that covered their foreheads. They seemed to have deliberately disguised themselves. Their gazes also fell on the back of the departing figure. Today's afternoon chapter was updated 1.5 hours late. Xiao Yu apologizes to everyone. There won't be many updates for the next few days. I'm preparing for the 16th chapter. At that time, Xiao Yu will have a huge explosion. After the release, I'll also maintain a high speed of updates. Brothers, please forgive me for these few days of updates.